there's a bunch of people reporting this. See, but
what is up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Midday Show. That right there is your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. Even though I'm wearing my glasses today.
Still
Excuse
Sharif.
me.
Still Sharif.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, we're both wearing glasses. I didn't even notice that. We're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. Joseph, shout out to Darwin and Native New York Image Company. Happy hunting today. Trade Wars, shout out to you as well. Daniel Vargas, what's up, fam? Jam going on with you, Daniel Vargas. Hope you had a fantastic kind of long weekend. We'll wait for everyone to come on over. We got VW and Ezekiel. There we go. We got the world's greatest mod, Mr. Longshorts and Corey Pratt. Shout out to Christopher Wagner and Sixto V. We got Day Trader Cut, BKM Trader. We got Yak, Blue Baron, and then a different Baron. We got Baron, we got Blue Baron. We got Captain Physics and Cesar Sandoval. Shout out to Reg, nope, not reading that last name. Pilot Josh, the Piper, JC, Dang Finance, and shout out to Covalence, aka Covalent Bonds, aka Grade 10 Chemistry. We got Tim Snyder, Stephen Ford, and Stock Up. Shout out to Felipe Lopez and Stock or Put like that. We got Billy Bezos and Ralph Woodward, Bora Hut, and Andrew Chow. Frank Dang Hong. Let's go to you two as well. We got D. Jackson, whose message got withheld by Bears vs. Bulls. He might be saying naughty things. Shout out to you, D. I'm going to have to see what you said right now. Dollar bill is there
dollar bill, y'all.
Who else we got? We got Ralph Woodward. We got Maru. We got Anish. We got the Gauntlet. Joseph, good morning.
Hey, yeah, man. I was just reading what D. Jackson said. I don't know. He didn't really say anything. He said CTRA.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, we'll have to Google that.
Yeah, we'll have to see what's up with that, brother. But how was your weekend? Everything was all right?
It was good, man. It was good. You know, sister was over. Brief, super brief. Here 4 days. She's in, she's out. Kids were here. They got the stomach flu.
Oh,
it was fantastic, Joseph.
Way.
It was like a little hospital in my condo there with everybody, you know,
emergency
taking the time out. How's your weekend, homie?
It was good, brother. But we'll send it up to Adara.
Oh, she's got some. I'm not plugged in.
Not plugged in. My dad's not plugged in.
Thank you to Sharif for sending me this initially. I can confirm the New York Stock Exchange and by extension the NASDAQ going to be closing on January 9th. This is to honor President Jimmy Carter after his passing. I looked this up. This is actually a customary practice here to honor deceased presidents. This started back with the passing of 18th President Ulysses S. Grant. So this has been going on for quite some time. And the most recent time this happened was December 2018 with the passing of George H.W. Bush. So this is, I guess, the first time we're doing this in about 7 years. Keep an eye out, though. January 9th, the market will be closed in its entirety. That is both the NASDAQ and the NYSE. There will also be early ending to bond trading that day as well. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adaria. I just want to confirm that I got the 401 there from Yahoo Finance, but you can never be sure enough. So we'll keep an eye on that. Don't forget, guys, we have Martin Luther King Day as well on the 20th of this month. That is also a holiday for the market. So we get a couple of holidays, but I was telling you off camera, Joseph, I got a half day on the 6th. Wow. I got a full day on the 7th, and now I got a full day on the 9th.
Rubbing it in.
Hey.
Pouring the salt in the
No, the only reason is I'm Orthodox. We follow the Julian calendar, so we have Christmas Eve is the 6th, then we got Christmas is the 7th. I always liked that growing up, bro. Yeah, because everybody got the regular holidays, and here's me, bro.
Exactly. Reaping the benefits of both the holidays, I guess. Exactly, if you can, there's no doubt about it. Okay, yeah, we know Sharif's got a interesting lesson today. I'm looking forward to this one because we're going to correlate it with something else. So I seen the title of this here, folks. But you know what we're going to get into before we weasel into Sharif's lesson of the day. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it here, folks, because we don't have a green sector on the board today, all right? So just keep that in mind. So we'll go through the win play show here as always. In first place, we have the energy sector. So are we getting a little defensive here? Maybe, possibly. It's looking like it from the top sector performances. And then we have the financials in second place, down about 1.17% on the session thus far. And then in third place, we have the utilities down about 1.2% as well, folks. So then we'll go third, second, and then last here. So technology down about 1.4%. 0.45%, being the third worst performing sector thus far. Materials down about 1.6% as well too, and then consumer discretionary down 1.7%. So consumer discretionary, I decided to take a look at Amazon and obviously Tesla. I think there's weaker stocks, but I guess from a tech perspective, they are a little underperforming. But that's okay. I do think that we can somewhat slowly rebound here, Sharif.
All right, before we jump into the lesson, we got a good one for you today. We're talking about a head and shoulders pattern, so get your listening caps on. I want to talk about the current trade I'm in. It doesn't show up on the board because I still have yet to take another fill. I've taken one fill. I'm in WATT. It's up 310%. I see it, I observe it to be holding the pre-market high level in and around that $1.60, $1.50 area. Stop is below the volume weighted average price in the high 40s there, so we'll keep an eye out on that one. But it is this one right now, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else. CYN is absolutely flying to the high side. It is breaking through highs. It looks like it may halt here. It is halted. 137 is the halt level on CYN. It has got a very huge market cap of $7.5 million. And if you can't tell, if you're just getting to know me now, why I'm being sarcastic. 27.7 million shares traded on the day with a float, Joseph, of a large and enormous, gargantuan 1.4 million shares.
What?
That's very small, guys.
So that's like 27 times float rotation?
Bro, that's normal with these small cap gappers. It's like sometimes you measure them in the 30s.
That's
you know what
crazy.
I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah. So CYN, Joseph, is the one that I'm talking about, and Trade Ideas has this one pegged at 19.42%. Of that 1.4 million share float is being bored for short. That data can be up to 14 days old. So as I always say, use it with caution, but help it guide your general idea for the name. CYN, guys, halted to the upside. Big boy mover, started off its life south of that 70 penny area. I believe we closed out Friday at 63 pennies. You're going to see me involved in this one if it does hold up. But Joseph, we got a good lesson today. We're talking about that head and shoulder loves, baby. Hold on, what? How come this one says double tops and bottoms? No, hold on. I'm gonna have to pause for a second because the lesson ain't jiving with the text over here. So I'm just gonna send it to you for a hot second.
Yeah, of course, guys. If we pull up to my chart here, guys, you're gonna see I took a second stab here on Tesla. I thought that we were going to curl back over, break the volume weighted average price. That momentum slowly started to pick up there. So we entered, and you know what? I took this out a little later than what I should have, okay? I should have waited a little bit, but then we got right back in at a lower price. You know that's my style of trading. I like to sell, even just if I realize that small loss, and then get in the position with a better price, but my guy is ready to rock and roll.
All right, as I always want to preface, this lesson is based on Chapter 5 of John J. Murphy's amazing book, Technical Analysis of These Dang Financial Markets. I added in the dang there, but no, it is one of the Bibles of TA, so this lesson entirely based off it. Let's get to work. So this lesson introduces the head and shoulders pattern, one of the most reliable reversal patterns in technical analysis, according to your boy John Jay. We'll discuss its structure, its significance, its practical application to real-life trading, followed by a breakdown of the inverse head and shoulder and the role of volume in confirming these patterns. So we're going to talk about the head and shoulder as well as its inverse head and shoulder cousin there, kind of the same thing, a little bit of a different twist. So what is the head and shoulders pattern? As we always do, let's explain the concept de novo, right? The head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern, right? That signals the end of an uptrend. So by definition, when you see the head and shoulders pattern, you gotta look at the trend preceding it. Is it an uptrend? If it's not, then it's not going to be your 100% head and shoulders pattern. You may see a pattern that looks like a head and shoulders pattern, but it won't be what we're talking about here. So it must be preceded by an uptrend, okay? In the beginning of a downtrend, which is what the head and shoulders brings in. So it's a visual representation of the battle between buyers and sellers. Let's talk about the structure. It's got a left shoulder. Can you believe it? An initial peak occurs during the uptrend, followed by a decline. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second. Then you have the head. right? The price rallies to form a higher peak ahead of the left shoulder. This is followed by a decline again near the low of the previous shoulder, which we'll call point B. Then you have the formation of the right shoulder. That the price makes a rally again, but fails to reach the height that it got to in the head. So it's a little bit of a lower crest, AKA a lower high. And then you get the neckline. This is the point where the textbook says, get into the trade. You don't have to get into the trade right at the neckline. You can be a bit more aggressive and get into the trade on the right shoulder. We'll talk about that in a second. Are we going to do it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go.
We're doing it live.
Love it.
All right, guys, trade ideas. This Christmas, give yourself the gift of smarter trading and trade ideas. Don't miss out on 25% off all subscriptions, including upgrades to the premium. Unlock powerful trading tools and insights to take your strategies to the next level. But hurry, this special offer ends December 26th. All right, so it's gone now, folks. Use code tradertv.live at checkout to save big at tradeideas.com today and make the holiday season your most profitable yet, folks.
I like it. I just
Yeah,
got to
so there
tell
you go.
Brendan, market closed
Closed
Jan 9.
Jan 9th.
All right.
Closed Jan 9th.
Just want to make sure, you know, he shows up to work.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's,
he'll
he's like, where is everybody?
Brendo. Love him. All right, so the key takeaway here, guys, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. Those are the components of the head and shoulders or the inverse head and shoulders that we're going to refer to. So 4 main components of the pattern. The key takeaway here about the head and shoulders pattern is that it marks the transition, essentially, from bullish to bearish market sentiment. The symmetry and the clear break of the neckline are essential for identifying this reversal pattern. And this is what it looks like, okay? You get an initial area crest, AKA the left shoulder. Let's call that point A. Then you get a retracement off that crest. We make a trough. We'll call that point B. Why? We referring to these areas and points because they make sense for the neckline break. And then you get the highest of the high there, point C, okay? That is the formation of the head. We drop from the crest of the head down into the trough of point D, but we don't keep going down. We make yet another attempt at a new high. That is a failed attempt at a new high. It has to be, by definition, lower than point C. I'm talking about point E there. And then we dip back down, and then we can kind of just, we can look at the neckline from here, okay? So the importance of volume here in the formation of the head and shoulders pattern cannot be understated. Let's talk about it. It plays a critical role in confirming the pattern as a whole. So during the left shoulder, volume typically in this case is rising as the market pushes to new highs. Makes sense, right? You need volume in order to move up. So keep that in mind. During the head formation, volume here may begin to diminish. It's not a hard and fast rule, but in the formation of the head, you may see a lower amount of volume than what you saw in the formation of the left shoulder. It's signaling to you waning buying pressure, even though prices have made new highs. And then during the formation of the right shoulder, right? The volume often decreases even further than it was during the formation of the head. This is signifying to you that buyers are incrementally losing strength. And then the break of the neckline. This is important because this is when the textbook tells you to get in, right? A decisive break of the neckline accompanied by increased volume confirms the shift to a bearish market from a bullish market. If the break happens on low volume, however, it may signal a false breakout or breakdown in this case. So you really need to be in tune with the volume here. If the neckline break is on anemic volume, it may be a false breakdown or what we call a specialist breakdown, forcing you short only to have the price rise again and then trap everybody in. And, you know, obviously they make money on that. So the key insight here after all this is rising volume on the break of the neckline adds conviction to the reversal signal, increasing the reliability of the head and shoulders pattern. And this is kind of what we're looking at. We're making the left shoulder. Boom, we move up, we make we make the head higher point than the left shoulder. And then we dip down above the low of the left shoulder, forming the right shoulder, but not high enough to get us above the head. And then we drop back down again. And then look at this area here. We actually gap down below the neckline. There's basically a price action volume where no trading took place at that particular price. And look at the volume confirmation that comes with that neckline break. So then you kind of are seeing the right thing. You're putting all the check marks beside all the different requirements for this pattern. Left shoulder formation, head, right shoulder formation, and then a big volume spike on the neckline break. But it's also important that we understand this pattern in order to gauge where our profit taking should be, aka our price objective. So after the head and shoulders pattern is confirmed with the break of the neckline, traders seek to estimate the price objective or the target that the price is going to reach on the downward move. The simplest method here that we can employ to calculate the price target is by measuring the vertical distance from the head of the head and shoulders pattern to the neckline. And then you're going to take that basic distance in price and you're going to project it down from the neckline. For example, if you had a $100 area from the top of the neckline, or from the top of the head, excuse me, to the neckline, you're taking that same $100 area and you're projecting it down from the neckline all the way down, and that's where your profit taker was going to be. The simplest form, it's not a hard and fast rule, but one that often we see. So the distance is then projected downward from the point where the neckline is broken. I already gave you an example, okay? The adjustments here are important. Consider the market conditions, though. If the volume on the neckline break is particularly strong, the price target may exceed the measured move. So the measured move, in other words, with big boy volume is the minimum that you should be waiting at there. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the maximum. So what you could do is you could possibly get out a little bit on that price target for the measured move and then save a piece for the dream, so to speak. And this is kind of what we're talking about there. This distance from the top of the head to the neckline break, you take this distance here, whatever that distance is, and then you project it down from the neckline break, and then your profit target is in and around there. That is the minimum. All right, so the inverse head and shoulders, kind of the same thing, but the trend that precedes it and the volume a little bit different. Let's talk about it. So the inverse head and shoulder is the opposite of the regular pattern and signals a reversal this time from a downtrend to an uptrend. So what does that mean? That means before we see the pattern or when we see the pattern, it's incumbent on us to look at what the trend was preceding it, and it has to be lower lows and lower highs. If you don't have a downtrend preceding an inverse head and shoulder, you should automatically be skeptical. So structure, similar to the standard pattern, but inverted, kind of obvious. It's in the name. So it consists of a lower head flanked by two higher shoulders. That's the look there. The breakout, the pattern is confirmed when the price breaks above this time, the neckline with higher volume. So volume here operative as well on the break of the neckline, which is suggesting to you a new uptrend. And the price objective, same thing. The target is measured the same way as the regular head and shoulders pattern by calculating the distance between the head and the neckline and then projecting that distance upward this time. That's where you're going to look to take your initial profit. And the practical insight here that we get out of this whole thing is that the inverse head and shoulders is often seen in bear markets or after a prolonged downtrend and serves as a valuable signal for traders looking for that potential long opportunity. And that's what we're seeing. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline break, take some profit. Okay, we're going to stop here, and then we're going to talk in the next segment about the practical application of how to use the head and shoulder in day trading and swing trading or whatever time frame off which you're trading.
Hey, good stuff there. So Sharif, I was enjoying your lesson and kind of wanted to bring this up.
Hit it.
So what do we see here? Do you know the
We got an uptrend.
Yeah.
We got a bit of a right shoulder.
Right.
We have a weird looking head, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Everybody's symmetrical. Bodybuilding.
Exactly.
And then we got a bit of obviously a move there. Into that 100,000.
That's it.
Hey man, okay, have at it, baby.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what I was thinking.
Back to 50 then, huh?
Yeah, I don't think we're going back to 50. That would be quite dramatic. But I do think that we are going to see a little bit of a pullback in this thing, maybe just a liquidity grab. One thing I will highlight on Bitcoin is that the selling pressure hasn't been immense. It hasn't been very swift or quick or anything. That a little bit of a slow burn to the downside. Can that pick up? obviously that is extremely possible. But what I did here is I actually let go of some of my position here, Sharif. As I mentioned before, that was my thesis. And I said, I think that we were going to break kind of this 92K level and that $90,000 level with some projection of more potential downside. I think that's going to be the case here. This buying has been relatively weak as well too, so the rebounds haven't been as strong as the overall market. So as we hover around these key support levels, I do think that eventually that we're going to open up below them, and then that selling pressure might start to step in as well too. So just be wary of that. Whether you're holding the actual spot asset or you're using IBIT as your vehicle, just be prepared. I was discussing with Sharif and some of my other peers over the weekend as well too about just selling some calls against the position. But in my stance, it would be more profitable for me to just realize some of the gains that I have, opposed to just selling calls and then allowing that to depreciate, the price to depreciate. My unrealized losses or my unrealized gains would diminish quicker than what my short calls would allow me to kind of recuperate in that sense. So again, just offloaded a little bit, nothing crazy. I'm glad that I did that. I do think that there's going to be some more downside, maybe the mid 80s or something along those lines. But we need a positive catalyst, I think, to get Bitcoin to start rolling again. I mentioned before that I thought this was a little bit offsetting kind of the way we consolidated here, but then kind of that move didn't seem genuine to me, and I stated that multiple times. I thought something was kind of fishy with this kind of this push up here. I think it was maybe just more or less momentum and people being excited that the fact that we exceeded that 100K benchmark and then now went a little bit higher, but we didn't hold it very well, and we didn't kind of get that volatility skew that I talk about as well too, that Wayner was telling me about to the top side, other than what we had in this breakout. Like, these are the kind of days that I was expecting to see if we were going to exceed that 1.25 or head to that 1.25 price target. But as of right now, that's not the case. Not saying that it won't go there. I know a lot of analysts still have their price targets high 100s by the end of 25. Totally fine. What we do is we just offload, realize some gains, and then we have the ability to get in at a lower price as well too. So I do think we continue to the northeast on Bitcoin. It's just going to take some time, and I don't think they're going to make it as easy as some of us seemed that it was going to be, because I think as soon as it broke out at that price, and then we had the new administration coming in, we were excited. There was a lot of buying in it, but again, that has since cooled off. And then maybe we just need some more breath or more adaptation to Bitcoin on that front, guys. So yeah, let's take a look at Tesla as well too, using TSLA as the vehicle as usual, just because it is a leverage product. It's still down on the session. In the second entry here, we started to take a little bit off the top. And now we're now pulling back a little bit. So it might be another little bit of a choppy session here, I'm thinking, with the Qs still selling and still negative on the day. Let's see if we can rebound and then hold above the volume weighted average price. As of right now, it's struggling to do so, with kind of Nvidia being the outlier of one of the stronger stocks on the session. But now I know a lot of people ask me to take a look at some tickers for them, and one of them being LAES, all right? I'm not overly familiar, so I was doing other things with LAES. Let me pull it up here for you folks and just get a general idea of what this thing does. So, Seals Corp is a Switzerland-based holding company operating primarily in the semiconductor industry. The company focuses on developing and selling tamper-resistant semiconductors, chip processors, etc., sitting around an $860 million market cap. From an intraday perspective, yeah, this thing is moving extremely well. I mean, Nvidia was moving well as well earlier in the session, kind of just cool off and consolidating right now. Nvidia is, but from a daily perspective, you can't really go wrong. This is insane, actually, if you think about it. So from a percentage metric, let's see how much we're up here from December 10th, so from earlier in the year, we're up over 2,000%, which is absolutely astonishing and fantastic. So if you've been sitting in this thing since the 10th of December, you're sitting on some pretty pennies. So congratulations to the person who mentioned this. The positions boards are down right now, folks, but they will be back and running shortly, all right? So again, back to Lays, this is really fantastic if you've been in this stock for an extended period of time. If you're looking to get into it now, unfortunately, I don't know too much about this company, but that volume stepping in, I'll always look at that from a technical perspective, and it's supporting this breakout. So yeah, really good look there on LAES, and then we'll take a look at one more here before we send it off to our guy, Sharif. OPTT was another one here. This is Ocean. Yeah, let's pull up OPTT. Ocean Power Technologies Inc. provides ocean data collection and reporting marine power, offshore communications, and domain awareness service products. Okay, $105 million market cap. Intraday perspective, looking absolutely fantastic. Putting in a really stellar session so far. Let's see what we're up on the day. Yeah, 58% on the day. Really, really nice look from that, from a zoomed in standpoint. Let's take a look from a broader perspective. And yeah, not something I would necessarily look to get involved in. I'm not necessarily the value type guy, but again, that volume supporting the breakout, and it's looking good as it continues to trend higher, Sharif.
All right. Okay, we're in a few trades right now, Joseph.
All right.
What? All right, so we got in at that $1.53 or so. First profit taker, $1.60. I'm waiting at 65s. It's showing 64s on the ask. Let's see if we can get something here. A bit of an anemic bounce, quite frankly, but we'll see if there is some continuity here as we bounce off that key area of technical support. I was looking at that. There we go. We got the fill. We're looking at that $1.50, and quite frankly, I believe that $1.50 on WAT was just a little bit higher than the volume-weighted average price, which is hanging out at, I believe, $1.47, $1.46. Next profit taker, 171. We're taking profits here before that $1.75. There is resistance at $1.75. That was my initial entry. We rejected $1.75 here, and we had trouble with it over here. So keeping an eye on that. I am, though, caught in a down haul, purposely, though, on CYN. This thing got moved up big into $1.65, got in my initial position here at $1.43, and then I added the larger position at the volume weighted average price, planned $1.24. It's currently showing a tap of 122, 2 pennies below the current close price. So the move is here, anything below $1.10, it's all over for this trade. We'll keep an eye out on this one. I'm talking about CYN up about 97.5%. Currently, though, halted to the downside, but above the volume-weighted average price. Kind of an ugly V-shaped retracement from the $1.65 all the way down now to $1.25. So I don't want to see this necessarily breach VWAP. It's going to have to hang out there. Now, you say, Sharif, well, this thing started out its life at 63 pennies. Why are you not looking to gauge support off the dollar? Well, I would typically gauge support off the dollar. That's, though, for the initial breach, the break and take of the dollar. So if it, initially comes from, say, 85 pennies, takes that dollar, goes up to $1.20, I'm looking for it to defend off that dollar once it gets above the $1.20. But I think it's gone sufficiently far enough from the dollar that it should be using the volume-weighted average price as support. We'll have to see if that's accurate. Currently, the tap essentially break even now at the $1.23. AISP, the other one I'm involved in here. This one, not the biggest percentage mover on the day. It's only up almost 15%, but it was predictable. It had consistently higher highs and higher lows. The volume on this one, though, I gotta tell you, not really to my liking. 3 million shares on a $6 name, it should be doing a little bit better. I'm waiting for a break and take of that 6.5. I got a planned dollar cost average to shadow that 6.25 area where we had a lot of trouble. Look at that double top initially for that bull flag continuation. Rejected off 6.25, 6.33. Ex post facto analysis here. I likely should be moving up my dollar cost average, not from 6.25, but to 6.31, 6.32, something along those lines. We'll see how this one does. So involved in a few trades. CYN and AISP, all small cap gappers. Once I do take a fill, guys, it will show up on the board. We see Joseph, your boy, he's in that Tesla long, TSL 2984. Mine will show up there in a hot second. Are you in that, right?
Yeah, okay. We're in that, baby.
thought you were nervous there. Like, yo, what? I'm not in no position. Yeah, I know, because that's happened to me, Joseph.
Like, yo,
where
what?
I didn't know that if I was
I
in a position, and I looked down at the position board, I'm like, oh,
like,
come on.
No.
Yeah, those usually stops that you haven't cleaned up that get you in that kind of trouble.
Trigger you in something.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, just 1 second here because CYN is open. We're long here. The DCA for my average cost basis for CYN is 131. We're back up until 130. That ain't the move though. Looking for a bigger move up. Adara is at the big desk.
Let's take a look here at some of these sectors, and because this is usually the segment where we take a look at names that are sharply outperforming, underperforming the S&P 500, but with everything so weak, and with it being the end of the year, I wanted to take a different approach. So we're going to look at the 3 weakest names this year to date on the S&P 500. I got this data from StatsMuse. So we're going to start here with WBA. Down about 2%, well, almost 3% on the day. This is a daily chart. This one actually down about 60% on the year. This is the first candle of the year. Lots of downside, which kind of forecasts the rest of this year, starting around $25.50, currently below $10. One of the biggest catalysts on watch for this company are some reports that it's getting involved in a buyout here with the private equity firm Syracuse. So WBA could certainly have some upside potential for next year, but this year, lots of weakness for Walgreens Boots Alliance. Then we have mRNA. This is the 3-minute chart for mRNA, but we can look at the daily as well here for Moderna. It's worth noting they're down about 59%, almost 60% year to date. This is the daily chart. They went from a high here, it looks like this is in May, of around $170, currently trading around $39. This one also has some things or catalysts here on watch as we head into the new year. Chief among them is the appointment of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as part of this health, department for Donald Trump going forward. Health and Human Services, what he's been appointed to. So he's known for being not pro-vaccine. That could hurt companies like mRNA. Last but not least here, Intel. We're going to pull up the daily chart for Intel as well. They're down about 58% year to date, and they are the 3rd worst performing stock on the S&P 500 this year. We know Intel's been really beat up, especially compared to some of these high-flying stocks in the semiconductor space like Nvidia or even AMD earlier this year. We basically started the year around $50 for INTC, currently trading just below $20. Pat Gelsinger, CEO, was ousted as of early December, and that's the most recent negative catalyst for this name. Other companies in the top 10 worst performing stocks include Celanese at number 4, down 54%, Estee Lauder down 47%, Dollar Tree down 47%, Enphase down 44%, Humana down 44%, Dollar General down 43.5%, and CVS. So a lot of these health names and these names in that consumer services sector, pretty weak, guys. Back to you.
Appreciate you, Adara. Thank you very much for that. Adara always dropping knowledge lines in the middle of the day there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we got the
She gets pumped about that.
Yeah, she is really pumped about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. No, our good friend John Von Sawyers in the chat asked me to take a look at TQs for him. Okay. And I'll do exactly that because when you are the type of person that John is, you get what you ask for. So, yeah, you know what, John? I kind of like the overall market here. One thing that I kind of wanted to use as an example is I like to look at the volume-weighted average price as somewhat as an elastic band, right? It can only stretch so much before it snaps. So the way I'm going to look at this from this perspective is that we've been trading below the volume-weighted average price for pretty much the majority of the session. We are now trading above it. So I want to see if that elasticity can hold within the volume-weighted average price, and then maybe we head back down to the south side. Maybe we're just hovering it because of momentum, a little bit of cover rally, or is it going to be a genuine move, and we snap it, and then we sit on top of the volume-weighted average price? So this is kind of my look on the TQs. I'm going to wait for a retest of 80s on this to see if it can hold. Other than that, I think with the strength within Nvidia, if it decides that it wants to take a second leg higher and or Tesla wants to start to cooperate, I think that this momentum to the top side, if you would like to call it, can continue. But as of right now, I'm going to say the primary trend is still intact. We're still moving to the downside. But I just want to see what happens around VWAP here, if we can either hold it, if there's any indecision candles above it that indicate, hey, maybe we're going to go back and make that second leg lower, or another confirmation of holding the volume-weighted average price. So if we come back, test it, and then we bounce back on top of it, then I like the overall market for a long. So that's just my 2 cents on TQs. And then someone asked me to take a look at Live Person Inc. Interesting, LPSN. Never heard of this either. I think this is more along my guys, but let's pull it up here and see what LSPN actually does. All right. Okay. So, oh, whoa, okay. Fundamental Explorers. It's not what we wanted. 1 second there, folks. Okay, well, it's not giving me much here on LSPN, but from a technical perspective, we zoom out a little bit more here, and the picture gets a little bit uglier. So again, I can't give too much of anything on this other than that from a technical perspective. Starting to break out on a daily. We broke some key resistant levels here. Not looking too bad, slowly recovering, but putting in this big doji of a day. Wait for this candle to finish its print and the volume that may or may not be supporting it. So other than that, it's not looking horrible, especially after it held these lows around 77 cents, almost double that from those lows. So again, not a horrible look, but I think there is better things. Well, I know there's much better things to be trading other than LPSN. But yeah, here we go with Tesla. Sharif, we are starting to break. We held the VWAP really nice. As the overall market continues to move higher here, John, looking for the TQQ's thought. Again, we're holding this. I do think that there's going to be somewhat of a pullback. The volume is starting to stair-step to the top side, which is definitely positive, as you can see here. So again, I think you'll get a little bit of a pullback. If it decides that it wants to hold the volume-weighted average price on the pullback, then I think you can be okay. And then maybe there'll be somewhat of a trend change on this session. But as of right now, Tesla's still hovering, Nvidia kind of just consolidating, waiting to see if we make that second leg to the top side.
All right, Joseph. Here we are with CYN. This is the big boy mover. It's up 126%. Excuse me. And it's not like an exclusive pre-market runner. By that I mean, it has the best of its move in the pre-market, which is, very typical for these small cap runners, small cap gappers, whatever you want to call them. When you get a small cap gapper that does the majority of its volume, the bulk of its move, subsequent to the opening bell, subsequent to the pre-market, I don't want to say, it's rare, but it's not as common as these ones that run in the pre and right after the bell. So CYN kind of got the majority of its volume at around 11 o'clock, 10:30, this, that, and the other. We're involved with it right now. Cost basis of $1.28. Just took a print at $1.42, waiting next at $1.48. It's not as aggressive as it was before, but it's a 10 exponential moving average hold on the 5-minute. It wasn't even weak enough to get to the volume weighted average price. That could all change. This is the one that was caught in a down halt in, but again, it was a planned entry at that $1.25. So we'll see what this one does. Taking out a little bit over here, but don't want to take out too much, right? Because the whole point is to ride this one with the strong upward momentum it's got at the moment. AISP clearly here has a seller at 50, and I won't be convinced otherwise. I took profits at 50 for that exact reason. My next profit taker at 56 is, but as I watch this continue to chop and churn at that $6.50 area, I am becoming more and more convinced that the size of the iceberg order, aka a hidden seller, at that $0.50 is a bit bigger than maybe I once anticipated. So right now, posted on the gateways is baby size. That's what you can see. It's what you can't see here that is preventing us from ascending. Now, one way to kind of gauge the size of the hidden buyer, the seller, or the iceberg order is to have a look at the level or the time in sales. Okay, you're keeping an eye for the orders that are coming in at that 650. Look at these green orders, all at 650, and then to look at the size of those orders. Like that one's 700, 200, 843. You're trying to gauge how much buying is coming in relative to what's being posted on the gateway on the level 2 to try to gauge how big or small the iceberg order is. At least that's my 2 cents on that. Here we go with that 650, likely gonna reject again. Keep your eye out on it. We're involved in it right now, waiting for that 6.5 break to take. But my man Carlos Rojas, 20,000 Colombian pesos. I don't know how many Canadian dollars that is, but it doesn't matter. It's 20,000, and that's a big number. And even if it wasn't, we're going to thank you anyway, brother. I appreciate you for that. Now, he wants us to look at OPTT, and that's exactly what we're going to do there, Joseph. OPTT. So Ocean Power Technologies, just by looking at that daily chart, I already like it, okay? Above the 200, above the 50. You got the golden cross with the 50, crossing above that 200. You're getting more volume. Now, obviously, if you zoom out, it's not a good-looking chart, but that's what a lot of these ones are. That's how they start off their life, and then they get booming. Now, clearly, we've got a couple of outsized days here with high RVOL, but the beautiful thing is we didn't just die back off after making a big move. No, we kind of consolidated at that 30 penny area. You could tell someone was buying up a storm at that 30 penny area, and then we continued on our merry way, making higher highs and higher lows. And what I do like about the recent price action on OPTT is that we're closing, I don't want to say we're closing at the highs, but we're not giving up the entire move and closing back near the lows. We're not doing that. We're closing relatively near the highs. Currently, we're at 68 pennies with a low of 50, the high of 80, so we're a bit closer to the highs. Now let's look at this one from an intraday perspective. Let's zoom on to the 5-minute here for OPTT. I'm going to throw that ticker on in a hot second. I do apologize. OPTT, here we go. It just behooves me that I got to give you the deets on this bad boy, OPTT. So, Ocean Power, $101 million market cap, a nice amount of volume traded today, about 126 million. It's got a float of around 55 million shares. And let's find out what Trade Idea says about the short float, about 7.8. So not bad at all. Here's what I like about this, Carlos. Incrementally higher highs and higher lows. It touches at 80, it pops, it drops, but look where it's finding support. Lo and behold, there's a buyer of note here at 67 pennies. Well, what's so special about 67 pennies? A couple of reasons. One, it's an area top. We whiffled, we waffled before we could break 67 pennies on a decisive basis. So there is a price action resistance in and around there. In addition to the price action resistance we had earlier at around 1030, 1045, you also have the volume weighted average price there. So it's a good area for a dip trade. And the beautiful thing is, once you're close to that area, you can enter near the volume weighted average price and then put your stop a little bit below it so you can manage risk a bit differently. So this one, not on my radar because it's south of 85 pennies. I filter out everything south of 85. So this wouldn't have made it onto my scanner until it had gotten about 5 pennies higher than the current high a day. But it's a good looker. Let me know how you trade this. OPTT, looking definitely like it might be making higher highs and higher lows with an 80 penny top. Now, back to AISP here, because we did take out 50. We haven't taken it out on the half dollar, but look what we're printing now on the ask. We're at 51s. Looks like there's a bit of a bigger seller, though, at 52s. Let's see if we can squeeze here now that we've taken out that seller at the half buck. CYN, I see printed me at that buck 41, but I wasn't able to get anything at that buck 48, and down we go again. Multiple topping tail candles right now on the 5-minute on CYN. Still, though, that's the bad side. The good side is we're still above the 10 exponential, and by extension of that, we're still above VWAP. So I don't like to see these topping tail candles, nor do I like to see the incrementally lower highs. That means sellers are currently in control, despite the fact we're still above VWAP. So if you look at each successive candle, it has a high a bit lower than its predecessors, which means sellers are becoming a bit more exuberant with every successive candle. In the same way that we always talk about buyer exuberance, Joseph, works, I guess, the same there. So last one here before we send it back to Joseph. Let's have a look at our boy Watt. JJ Watt's just hanging out over here at a buck 60. We're in, where are we in? We're in at a buck 53. It's holding up at the volume weighted average price. I've got a clear area where I'm going to take this out. If it breaches that VWAP area, I'm gonzino. Otherwise, we're going to try to hold on for the trade. Joseph.
Hey, good stuff there. Yeah, 20,000 Colombian pesos is just under 7 Canadian dollars, my guy. So yeah, so there you go. Thank you very much for that super chat. And guys, way to go on the poll. We already got 1,200 votes on the rundown poll. So that's fantastic. That might be somewhere around the record. Yeah. But yeah, just going on to like hyperinflation and kind of just the conversion rates. I know that 100 Jamaican dollars is roughly 1 Canadian dollar. So, and I know there's a country in Africa, I don't know if you can fact check me on this, but they have like $1 billion notes. You know.
Oh, yeah,
It's super. Yeah, they have like $1 billion notes and stuff like that, which is absolutely insane. So, yeah. Hey guys, let's take a look at Tesla. We know what's coming up, I believe. Adara, fact check me on this too. Deliveries on Thursday, is it, Adara? That's correct. Expected. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm assuming we're gonna get that. But let's just kind of zoom out here and see what happened the last time the deliveries came. And this was kind of when we were in this bottoming pattern. I talked to you guys about this V-shaped pattern multiple times, consolidation phase, liquidity grab, another consolidation phase, and then a breakout. Somewhere along these lines on this day was a delivery day, and then that's what just sent the stock soaring. I think this is going to be really important for Tesla as well too, considering how extended we are to the top side. So I'll be looking forward to seeing this these delivery numbers, and what happens with the underlying stock itself. Is it going to send it to the northeast, or are we going to pull back a little bit more? And then I think if the street doesn't like it, then those 366 levels and this prior resistance is definitely going to come into play. So only time will tell on that Tesla delivery front. Be patient and let those deliveries come in. And if you're looking to buy contracts, don't just wait, right? Because the volatility is going to step up. We talk about this all the time. You don't want to be buying contracts when volatility is high. So maybe you want to grab them, now that I think about it. So when they're lower, if you're looking for the anticipation, because when the volatility steps in, those premiums are going to kind of be elevated as well too. Or will they? Not kind of, they will be elevated, all right? So it's Zimbabwe. Yeah, thanks, Neil, for that. Zimbabwe is just, they have the $1 billion notes there or something like that, which is absolutely insane, just due to hyperinflation. So I think it was either Argentina or Venezuela that was having that same issue as well too. So let's continue to hold on to this Tesla, folks. We're in on TSLA, I mentioned this before, but let's touch on why I'm in some NVDA. I was kind of expecting a higher day break, and it's not quite working out how we would like. We know that we have this ascending wedge forming on NVDA, so I was kind of, and unfortunately, I was anticipating for the volume to step in as we made that push to break this key pivot level, and now we're kind of rejecting as the overall market is starting to pull back as well too. So I'm really curious to see if the TQQs and the Qs are going to hold the volume weighted average price. If we get any sort of bid, then I think that we can continue to the northeast and break that and break this kind of wedge that we're forming here on NVDA. But again, we're going to need to see that volume step in, and we're going to need to see it step in fierce, all right? It can be a little bit of a grind, but if we're going to break these key pivot levels, then that volume needs to step in and then be able to be sustained as well too. So just keep that in mind, folks. Again, and now that we're forming lower highs, you got to be a little bit more cautious about this situation and just be a little bit more definitive on when you're going to get out of the trade as well too, guys. All right, so continue to let me know. Mitchell Rose, buy them calls. Yeah, exactly. Now the time would be, right? Like the volatility is low on it, and then you get that anticipation of the volatility stepping in, the implied volatility going to pick up and increase the premiums on Tesla, especially with those deliveries. Just actually a volume increase alert on NVDA from Momo. Well, I don't have it just yet. Again, you're going to need the market to see itself turn around before I think we can suggest that we're going to break the high a day on NVDA, especially with the Qs starting to pull back a little bit more here. Let's take a look at some of the other Mag 7s. Like what's Apple and Microsoft up to? I kind of like this on Microsoft here, Sharif.
Yes, sir.
On Meta. It's not overly liquid on this platform here, but as you can see, we have this candle with that inverted hammer. So you can use this as a definitive stop and then play the breakdown. So I wish there was a leverage ETF to play this thing, but maybe we'll look to get involved, get a little bit of a pullback. If we decide that we want to hold this 595 level and then head back south, then I think that would be a good trade. But zooming in here on a 5-minute standpoint, okay, so it was the pre-market that was really weak, and Meta has since pretty much recovered. So looking pretty good on Meta compared to some of the other stocks. Let's take a look at AAPL. And it's slowly recovering. So, the market seems like it wants to pick up a little bit of steam and have some relative strength, but all we can do is just sit here and be patient for now.
All right, new position. We got into INTZ as it worked through the volume weighted average price. This one was a big mover. It's up 168%. It did breach VWAP. seemed to hold that 5.25, but it was below VWAP. I didn't get into it until it reclaimed that level. It seems to be having trouble now with that 580-ish. I think it did weasel up into 585. I don't think I have the best price for this one, so I've done my my due diligence here. Put my initial entry as a smaller position with my dollar cost, planned dollar cost averages all into the volume weighted average price with my stop a little bit below VWAP right now. But as I'm watching this one, it seems to have a lot of trouble with that 585, 580 area. We are long in right now on INTZ right at that 580. So currently break even on this one. Let's have a look at CYN. It did dip right back into VWAP and did hold. But again, CYN is putting continuously lower highs. I don't want to say it's got a flat bottom because it really doesn't. It's got, you know, kind of a mixed bottom there with some higher and some lower, so not as discernible as you could say the lower highs. We'll see how this one does. Where are we long on this bad boy on CYN? We are long $1.28, so currently about one whole penny in the money. Let's have a look at the other one over here, WATT, still above VWAP. So these small cap gappers kind of chilling today. Not as aggressive. They're not breaking down below VWAP like sometimes we see when, you know, small cap gappers are not in vogue. They make big moves above VWAP and then kind of retrace and then give up the entire ghost. You're not seeing that yet, but you're also not seeing continuity with these names. So I'm packing my patience over here. Last but not least, AISP. This one did dip into the 10 exponential moving average and has a bit of a higher low right now. I did set up for a dip trade at 6 1/3 to catch the breach of the 10 exponential. It didn't fill me, came into about 636 there. So no fill, sadly, for me on that one. I'm going to keep it active, though. I think it is a sound area to try to pick up some on AISP. So those are the ones I'm looking in right now. They're not really flying like, you know, we were used to these past, I want to say a few weeks, but I think it's been more than that. Probably more like a couple of months now that the small cappers have been running. So, yeah, so we'll keep an eye out on all these bad boys. Watt, again, off that $1.50. What's going on over there, Joseph?
Yeah, Tesla's buzzing.
Well, Tesla's buzzing, eh? Let's have a look at TSLA coming into that 424. My man is long TSLL, so he's printing up, baby. And TSLL has got a nice looking V-shaped recovery, Joseph, with incrementally higher lows and higher highs, taking out this area trough, not on a closing basis, but that 1040 print that we put all the way up to 423 1/4. While we're above that by 50 whole pennies as we try to take that 424 level to go Greensville on TSLA. Got to go all the way up to 431 2/3. A far distance from that now, but you know, obviously, on the way there, we're going to take out more key levels. Another key level would be this pre-market high or pre-market top high at 426 and a half to 427. 427 is the implied balance high. The IB high on TSLA, exactly 427 on the dot. So we're looking to do a nice recovery there. Only down 1.92. We were down much worse at the lows there with Tesla. But as I look at it, you're seeing V-shaped retracements on a lot of these. Well, I don't want to say them V-shaped retracements because some of them look more like U's, but you're getting a recovery on most of the mag name. It looks like Meta looking the best here with that 486, 485, 58 low. We're at 459.65. We just printed the day's high on Meta. You just printed the day's high on Amazon as well. Microsoft just printed a day's high. Google just printed a day's high. As I mentioned, though, Tesla had a bit of a different open there. It zagged. It went to 427 and then dropped to 415. Nvidia, we're still below that day's high. We printed that. It went a little bit early. The Katina man was involved in that one. 138.67. So we'll keep an eye out for these Mag 7 to see if they can continue to recover. Good look for them right now. So I'm still involved in my small cap gappers, but I want to let you know that the ones I'm involved in are certainly not the only ones moving. Holo, HOLO, another great one. We were trading this one on Friday, and it's back again. It had a decent day on Friday. I'll submit to you it has a better day today, and one that I've been watching, I want to say for like 6 months, maybe even longer. I was trading this one when, you know, Adara was still a newer trader. So 465 right now on HOLO. A beautiful move up off the 50, incrementally higher highs and higher lows. This one is a bamboozler, though. I've seen the bottom absolutely drop off HOLO in the past, so make sure to manage risk soundly with this one. 13.5 million percentage, 13.5% is the short float with a float of around 5.46 million shares. So definitely a smaller float and a larger-ish short float right now on HOLO. We might have to bamboozle our way into this one. It's looking good. That's why. So I'm keeping my eye out on all the Mag 7 as well as these small cap gappers. We'll keep an eye out on them if anything is running. I want to let you know about another one, another small cap gapper, another one that we've heard many times before. GRRR. GRRR, Dara. It's a bit more an expensive one, this one here. It's about $24.75 but the direction is sound. It's holding up, it looks like here, with the closing prints all above the 10 exponential moving average. It did that before as well. So when it moved up into 25, it dropped back down to 23.25, held the 10 exponential on a closing basis, and here we go again on GRRR. It's about 30.61% up on the day, and let me give you the details on this one as well. So GRRR, Gorilla Technology, $273 million market cap with 6 million shares traded today and a float of around 9.4 million shares. And the short float on GRRR, 16.5%. That's what I want to see, baby. I want to see small floats and larger short floats because we can definitely get some movement, Joseph, when we have those combinations together. What do you got?
Sir. No, I was just looking at something that Andre sent me, and this is crazy. I don't know if it's still accurate, but dude, $100 trillion in Zimbabwean note here. Yeah.
Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Why don't they just adopt a different currency, bro?
Bitcoin. But
they changed it?
They changed it, yeah.
Now
But it was something
Okay.
along those lines, which was absolutely crazy. But yeah, maybe they can adopt a Bitcoin there, Sharif, because then get the Satoshis rolling, and then they can start rolling with the boys over here in the Western world. All right, so yeah, guys, let's continue to monitor what's going on with Nvidia, slowly grinding higher here. Tesla's breaking out, so that one's working really nice for us. I think we just have to be a little bit more patient. I think it's either we continue to the top side or we just completely fail on NVDA. If the overall market decides that it wants to participate, then I think we'll be sitting totally fine. But again, only time will tell, and we have to be patient and just stick to the trading plan, all right? So let's, speaking of sticking to trading plans, here we are on TSLL. See that, and again, I'm not going to complain too much about it, but I should have been out of this significantly earlier, especially at the breach of this resistance zone. I think this was just a liquidity grab. I'm glad that we got back into the trade, especially just due to signals that I've seen. And I'll pull up those signals on another chart so we can see them more clearly and why I decided to take those trades at those specific levels. All right, so again, as we can see here, guys, we had a really strong primary opening drive. So you can see this is the initial 5 minutes of the opening drive, really strong volume supporting it with just a little consolidation phase after that strong move out of the open. Perfect. The volume is low. That's something that that's exactly perfect. Love that. Yeah.
Fighter, right?
Yeah. So again, we like to see the volume start to step in. I don't know why I'm pointing at it like you guys can see, but so we like to see that volume step in here on that second one, on this second leg higher, and then we kind of just pull back here once again. Totally fine. Had the inability to test this new high a day. Pulled back, grabbed some more liquidity. Again, we're just chopping around, break some key resistance levels. But then again, this is why I got in over here, all right? It was just this specific candle on how it was kind of an outlier to the previous couple minutes. So we were strong to the top side, and then we continuously pulled back without any form of a green candle within 10, 15 minutes or so. So then I see this candle print right here. I said, oh, okay, let's see on the pullback. If we breach this, the thesis is invalid, no problem. But sure enough, we held this candle. This is just key volume price analysis signals that I always look out for, the lesson that we did. And so that's exactly why I decided to get into this trade, was because of the print, close as a hammer, and that isolated volume signature. But we are going to
we gotta do this super chat. Sorry, first.
Oh,
Joseph.
yeah, send it to
Nick
super
Dub,
chat, babe.
$2 super chat. Thank you very much, my man. Shout out to Ron as well. BBAI, we threw this one on the upgrades and downgrades today. Sorry to keep you guys waiting there, Adara and Neil, but I just wanted to mention this. Big Bear AI did get an upgrade today, and it's finally catching some volume. These last two candles have 1.5 and 1 million shares each. It's taking out the high of the day as we speak. 458, Big Bear AI. Keep your eye out on this one. Shout out to Nick Dub and Ron, printed into the highs. But we will talk more about these small cap gappers once we get back from Adara and Neil with his lesson of the day.
We actually might get a red to green story here for the NASDAQ. What a push up here. This is at 10 o'clock. We started to find that base around 512 on the Qs. Now we're down just 1% on the day, but be aware there is clear previous support here around 517.80s, basically 518s to be aware of. Currently around 517.30s. Let's take a look here at the S&P 500, which also making kind of a similar path here. Now actually down less than 1% on the day, much like the NASDAQ basing out here around 10 a.m., just below that 585 level. And UNG was really the story of the morning in terms of positivity in a market that was generally negative. Definitely removed from its highs around 1950, but still up about 16%. We have some reports here that Ukraine is not going to be renewing Russia's gas transit deal, and also apparently expecting a durable cold for the first half of January. So lots of things to keep an eye on here in the UNG space. In terms of other tickers to be aware of, beyond the small caps, which we certainly know are running, Shree's been giving you those, but we have some mega caps on watch as well. TSLA trying to break back into 425s. Quite the recovery here. And it is worth noting for TSLA, we're expecting deliveries potentially on January 2nd. Then Nvidia making the nice push to the upside as well. This one had an early positive catalyst, or at least interesting catalyst, with regards to its push into robotics, as reported by Financial Times, which actually interviewed the VP of robotics for the company. So Nvidia here with the robotics catalyst, well outperforming its peers in the semiconductor space. Make sure as well to vote for your favorite ticker in the poll in the chat. I believe that poll ends a vote right now, so you have one of four tickers to pick from. Then after we do the Playmaker poll for the S&P 500 trade, at 1 p.m. we're going to get a whole new poll, 4 new tickers to choose from. The top 5 of the 4 tickers between the two polls will be covered on the rundown at 2 p.m. with Sean and Neil. But speaking of Neil, he's got a special treat for us. That's his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Thank you very much, Adara. Sometimes all of your setups in the morning, you line them up and you tee them up and it hits your levels, great. But when it hits your level or when it sets up that trade, could turn an A+ setup into a B or a B into a C. Something that you like a lot is maybe your number one idea that suddenly turns into a trade that you should take, but a trade that you have to temper expectations in, whether it's taking less shares or whether it's having a tighter stop or maybe it's having a smaller, I guess, take profit expectation or target window to get out. And the examples I'm going to use here, one of them is going to be Palantir. We'll stick to what we were trading this morning, Tesla and Palantir. Now, obviously, Tesla has been bouncing off 420 and did so again today. Hindsight being 2020, you can see this now looking strong above the 420 level. But if we looked at what's been happening on Tesla, it was trend down and it was into that 420 level. It was looking weak like the rest of the market. Simple over-under would dictate if we were breaking the 420 and we just had follow-through on the breakdown, maybe you could have had one of those $20, $30 moves that we usually see when Tesla's weak. $20, $30 moves trending all day long. At some point, if you'd continue trend, you're going to do that off of that 420 level. And oftentimes when you see those big dumps on Tesla, that's right at the open, then follow through the rest of the day. Right at the open, follow through the rest of the day. When it's been dumping and continuing, a lot of times it's doing it early. Not always, but a lot of times it's going to do it right off of the bat. Now, unfortunately, Tesla didn't do that. It ended up being a bid right off the open. So it did make a rather decent sized bounce to the upside. It ended up being a short, eventually setting up under 420. But by the time it got there, it didn't have the home run setup. It had like the single double setup. Short the 420, play it back into the teens. Take your $1, $2, $3 winners, maybe 4 at absolute best, what you're holding out for. But it never really gave you more than that because it just set up a little bit different from normal. It doesn't mean you don't take it, but as I was sort of saying before, it might mean that you just scalp it a bit more, be willing to stop out, jump back in with a tight stop, and be willing to trail out thinking you're not going to get that home run. So it was just more of an adjustment trade on Tesla because of when it's set up. That same trade, if it does the dump holding under 420 instantly, like right away, you see it hold underneath, higher low, and then break back out. If it does the dump and hold under, I think that is a better potential where you should be more aggressive, wider stop, and let it just flow. But that's not what you ended up seeing happen in Tesla. Now, conversely, Palantir did give you the good setup early. Now, granted, okay, Palantir, did I not trail out? Okay, let me just, oh, here we go. Look at that. I was about to punch out manually because I'm like, oh, Palantir's breaking trend. I should be getting out of my long. And then my stop, my trailing stop just hit. But that we'll get to the long in a second. Palantir was a much cleaner setup because it was a simple short into the prior high, and it did give you exactly what you wanted off of the open, which was a pop right into the level you want. There's your wick high, there's your lower high. So this is an example of one of your A+ trades or an A trade staying in a trade. And this is where, you ideally, and why I made this lesson of the day, because Tesla, and you saw me get into Tesla for the scalp trade, right? At that 420 level, and it's not bad. But then look at Palantir, right off of the level that we liked, at the open, double top off the same level. Could have neglected to trade Tesla and just doubled up in Palantir. That was an option. It ends up being the better play. Now, both of them go a couple of dollars, but one of them's an $80 stock and the other one's a $400 stock. So it's a better move in Palantir. So while profitable on Tesla, and both these two stocks are my best stocks, one of them was setting up exactly how we wanted, whereas the other one was kind of just okay. So probably should have doubled up on Palantir in that moment. And I'll give you a little bit of a bonus here. Oftentimes, and we've seen this before, if you've got an A+ setup, the big support turning into resistance, just keep in mind the lack of follow through here. You get the exact move you want. You get the 78 pull right back into 76. That's going to be the obvious target. But sometimes when it reverts, higher low, higher low, higher low, break out that top, you've got to be willing to reverse these things. You saw Sean reverse over into Nvidia. For me, it was reverting into Palantir, sticking with your guns. It gives you 78 into 79, which is next resistance. So when you've got a big key level, be willing to play it in both directions. But more importantly, if you've got a setup that is an A+ and stays in A+, it's not just about sticking with it, because we kind of stuck with Palantir and kept on trading it, but sometimes the one that turned from an A to a B, you can jump away from it. Put more into that A+ setup. I like both these two stocks as two of my top two. They're both positive. But if you look at when Tesla set up that 420 short, Palantir was giving me a better setup at that time. So it has nothing to do with being up or down on the stock. They're both good stocks. But in the moment, one can be better, and it deserves your attention just a little bit more. So timing does matter. Tesla wasn't perfect when it finally set up to 420. It was a little bit late. You want to make sure you're taking the best trade, and just because it was setting up okay at 9:30, you thought it could happen, doesn't mean it's just as good when it sets up at 10 o'clock. It can still work, but it doesn't necessarily mean you did the right thing. So your lesson of the day is trade setups and time of day do matter. Ensure that it looks just as good pre-market at the open as it does maybe a little bit later on in the day, or be willing to find something a little bit stronger or a little bit weaker, depending on the direction you're going to get into. Good luck for anyone that's in that Palantir long. Looks like it is starting to come back into 78.5. Maybe we'll get a VWAP bounce.
Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent, and just, all around awesome as always. Neil Roberts, every day, around that noon hour, dropping what we call around these parts, Joseph, that Neilage.
Neilage.
So make sure to join us every day on the How to Trade show. And then, Neil, does his entry, his cameo halfway through. Not halfway, a little bit earlier.
Look and subscribe. I pity the fool.
Yeah, if you don't like and subscribe, what are you even doing?
Yeah, what are you even really doing? I don't even know. You're not doing what.
Ram says exactly.
Exactly.
So a lot of stuff happened here, Joseph, while Adara and Neil were giving us the goods. Let's talk first and foremost about Watt. So JJ disappointed me here. Look, here's the deal. We got in, nice entry at the volume weighted average price, scalp, got that nice move into that $1.75, and then it all went to hell. It all went to you know what. It dropped down below VWAP, so it's currently down halted, which is why I flattened out here. As soon as I saw that halt parameter start to kick in, I got out of dodge. I don't know how I feel about Watt, okay? It's too ziggy-zaggy. There's no real directional trend this one had. It's real. It's the best part of the trade. Was in the pre-market. You always hear me talk about that. So did well on this one, but I gave back a little bit there at the end. I see Big Bear AI. It is breaking out. It is really going now. It's 12 3/4, 4 3/4 just got taken out. I'm talking about that high of the day.
Wow.
So keep your eye on Big Bear AI. I'm going to get to it in a hot second. But Watt, done, unless it holds a VWAP. I can absolutely get into it again. We'll keep an eye out on this one. AISP continues to knock on the door of that 50 penny area. We already talked about the big boy seller that's hanging out at that $50 area. What keeps me interested in this one is the incrementally higher lows. Okay? So even though we get dip trades, even though we get retracements into that 640, high 30s, they're incrementally higher lows with that flat top and 6.5. I won't be convinced otherwise. That's what I'm looking at right now on this one. CYN, it's below VWAP. That's the end of the trade. We're going to give back some on this one. I'm not going to DCA into this one. It doesn't look good. Incrementally lower highs, lower lows, breaching VWAP. That's gone. But I'm quite happy with how INTZ went. We got out of the majority of the position through that $6, I think I got $6.15 at the high, and then it came back into VWAP, and I had my planned dollar cost average at $5.55 to shadow the volume weighted average price. I wanted to hold up here. Anything below 5 1/3, and the trade is over. 5 1/3 is this area low. So if it breaches VWAP, I'm willing to give it, a couple of pennies here and there in order to breathe, but I will not give it anything below this area trough over here. We've de-risked substantially on it, so the planned DCA has me really reinvigorated because now we've got shares de novo back on this one. Let's see if it wants to pop back up. I'm all ears and whatever the hell else you can be, okay? So INTZ, good look. Let's see if this one wants to work its way back up. And then we got to put BB Dang AI up on a trading screen. Bye, Rigetti, even though you're moving up nice, but we're going to remove you here. BB Dang AI, it doesn't trade on the NQ. Where the hell does this trade? It's on the New York. It is a nicey stock, okay? Keep your eye on this one, 4 3/4, topping tail, Joseph, into that 476, and now we're down into 4 2/3. But like I've said many times, guys, everything okay, Dara? Like I've said many times, with these small cap gappers, the topping tail candles are not as operative as what you would see them on a large cap, a mega cap, whatever else, okay? You're going to get that kind of volatility with these small cap gappers that will manifest in a topping tail candle only for that topping tail candle to be reclaimed. And in fact, usually you break a higher high above that. So BBAI, Big Bear AI, it was the recipient today of an upgrade vis-a-vis HC Wainwright. They like it, Joseph, to the tune of $7. It's an upgrade here from $3 to $7. I don't know if it's a market perform to an outperform or what the exact upgrade was, but it is on the upgrade side of things. So keep your eye out on that one. As I see it here, INTZ just stopped me out through the break of VWAP, so we'll give back a little bit there. Still positive on it, though. Keeping my eye on these. Okay, so now we got the Playmaker pool. How'd you vote?
I voted short, man.
You voted short?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is that kind of day.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Just for, you know what, in giggles? I'm going long.
You're going long?
Yeah, you can't be both of us going short on the desk.
Both of us can't. I think we did last week, and we were wrong.
We're both wrong.
We were both wrong. I mean, the chat, man, statistically, the chat is not wrong. We've been doing exceptionally well, I should say, on the Playmaker poll, folks. So yeah, and having fun with this. And I'm starting to notice this thing is starting to gain a little traction here.
Oh,
Shreve.
yeah.
People in the chat are talking about it. Dara's putting it in her segments now as well too. So and Ramin's got her thing. So we're gaining a little traction on the Playmaker.
Talking about it too?
Yeah. All right, then it's done. It's killed.
All over.
It's killed now. All right, sell. Yeah, sell. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have some fun with this, guys. And I was thinking over the weekend, and I mentioned it before. Maybe we'll do a little exercise. Maybe we'll do an outlier week where instead of just doing outright shares, we'll pull up the options chain and then we'll do it from a contract perspective, just to see what kind of leverage is provided, how it kind of differs from just buying outright shares. I think that'll be extremely interesting because we know that one contract is equal to 100 shares. So maybe we do that, pull up the options chain, and then we can select just the contracts as well too at that time. I think that would be pretty interesting. But guys, yeah, let's continue. And I just want to mention the Piper. Nice work there. Saying you just took a step back, just reassess the situation, a couple deep breaths, a couple laps around the house, in the office, and then back in the chair, and then to execute accordingly. So good work there, Piper. Sometimes you just need that. It does get frustrating at times. So a lap around the house, a lap around the driveway, or a couple push-ups even at that, just to let some of that frustration out, and then you sit back down out of your chair, stay objective, and then you have the ability to execute slightly better. So good work there, Piper. Glad to see that. So guys, let's talk a little bit about NVDA here. We had that thesis just being built on just the fact that we were forming that ascending wedge. And then sure enough, we did get that volume to step in, and then we had the break of the high day as well too, folks. So with that, we just took parts off. I didn't put too much size on this front, but that's totally okay. We took some off. We don't got very much shares left there, so we'll see if we can continue to the top side. 139 will be my final target, and then we'll hop out at that if we decide that we want to continue to the northeast. But one thing that is slowly starting to pull back more is TSLL. It's all right. We had the majority of our position out on this one as well too. So I went over the thesis on this, on why I decided to take that specific trade there. I was a little bit late to the dance, but in this case we were fashionably late. So that worked out pretty good, with the low being our definitive out on this case. All right, folks. So that's just a look on TSLL and NVDA, as the overall market just continues to slowly grind higher. I know Wayner in the back is long, BBAI from 420, so I'm glad that he's printing up on this one. He was telling me about it, so yeah, nice work there, Wayner. Oh, damn, he caught the low on this one, so really nice work there, my friend, and it's continuing to move higher and higher here, that volume stepping in. So good luck on that one. And I know a lot of people in the chat are trading that as well too. So congratulations to those who are on the right side of the trade. Now, guys, continue to let us know what you are looking at in the chat. I know we were talking about the Playmaker. We got to do something here because I was showing Sharif, for some reason when I enter some of these data points, it's giving me a weird print here. So I got to do a little bit of sorting here because we hit our second 2-to-1 last week. But yet when I log it into the cumulative P&L, it just does something different. So as you can see here, we had that $200 day, putting us at a whopping $460, and then it does this for some reason. So if anybody can pick out what is going wrong from a data standpoint and why it's printing like that, that'd be fantastic. I know I asked last week, but it's kind of just giving me a little bit of a pet peeve there on how it's not overly orderly. So we'll just keep it at that right now until we get that sorted out and figured out what is going wrong there. But yeah, guys, let's see. Bitcoin just slowly grinding down here as well too, folks. Nothing crazy. We are hovering around those key support levels. We did breach momentarily. That volume is extremely low, so I think it's just a matter of time. If we do open up below this support system here, then I think that there's going to be that next leg down. One thing that is kind of alarming me is that we haven't had any of that momentum really step in. It's kind of been more of a slow grind to the downside, which is totally fine. It's giving you the ability to assess the situation and determine, hey, what am I going to do from this standpoint? And then you can build those if and when statements based off your trading, all right? So if and when it does sit below this, are you going to take some off or are you going to add? That's totally subjective and up to you, all right? So again, I know I have my game plan in place, and I think no matter what kind of trade you're putting on, whether it be midterm, long-term, short-term, you still kind of want somewhat of a plan. And that's what we got for this part of my swing position here on IBIT, guys. See, CLS CLSK, absolutely, we can take a look at that before we send it back over to my boy. Clean Spark, trading half decently here. Let's take a zoom out on Clean Spark and see what we got from a daily perspective. Oh, okay, so this is really interesting. This is something that I like to see. As we go and potentially test these lows, what is this gap down and then this isolated candle pivot going to potentially be? I know Shreve likes to call these an island potential gap, especially if we open up around above that pivot as well too. So again, if I see a print like this, I would want to wait for the end of the day, for that candle to close, and then wait for the open tomorrow as well too. It can be key. If this stock is going to turn around, then maybe a breach of this you can build a thesis off of and say, oh, okay, well, if we break this $9 price target, then my thesis is invalid. I can get out of the trade, or I can wait, be a little bit more patient, hold your horses, and then get in when price is telling you to get in. But Sharif, what do you got going on there, my brother?
I'm liking a ton of trades right now. Yeah. So let's throw out some stops over here. All right, so here we go, 418, and then we're going to take out everything 415, HOLO. Just allow me a second over here to organize myself. There we go. All right, so we're doing decent. Not the greatest, but you got some trades doing well, some not. Let's talk about all of them. So HOLO dipped into the volume weighted average price. That got me interested. I already scalped a little bit there, throwing out some profit takers. Let's throw out some more. In case, this one does squeeze, we'll get the benefit of, the squeeze up. So that's kind of the move there. Let's see what this one does. Now, the one that I'm doing quite well in, AISP. Look, this is the problem with not having resting profit takers with these small cap gappers. I had one above that 6.5. We were talking about that 6.5 being an obvious level of resistance. We got the squeeze through it, and then we got all the way up almost to 675. I only had one profit taker above at 658. That's the only one that got filled. These two I just put in after. Okay, so that upsets me because I should be doing better with that. I know that these are small cap gappers. They squeeze. They don't hang out in a price level for all that long. You gotta use resting profit takers to account for the move up and to be able to lock in profits. I didn't. I paid the price for it. So we've set some other peak quitters here. The only question I have to myself right now with AISP is on the dip into 50, do I buy more? Because obviously 50 was a level of importance. In terms of resistance, does it now act as support? That is a good question. We'll see. So I'm packing my patience with these orders here. So what else do we doing over here? INTZ, are we break even on that? We're about 5 pennies out of the money on this one. It holds that key area of previous support. That's where I put my stop right below there. We added on this one, we were doing quite well. Profit, profit, profit all the way up into that 6 1/5. And then it comes back into VWAP, and I added at VWAP. It doesn't hold VWAP, but it holds that previous area low. That's what's important to me. If it's going to use that previous area low, fantastic. I'm going to get involved. So I am with it. Let's see what this one does. My stop is below that 530 level. Big Bear AI, I punched in at the highs at 470, I believe. We wet our beak there into 480. We're at 475 right now. I've got a planned dollar cost average on this one to account for the top end of the range on the bull flag. I'm sitting at 465, so if it does dip into that level, I'd like to add a little bit more. Big Bear AI upgrade today from HC Wainwright to the tune of $3 to $7. I heard Wayner is involved in this, and he was talking to me about it too. He's like, yeah, talk about Big Bear. He wants us to pump it, right? So shout out to Wayners. Hope he absolutely smashes it on this. We're going to see if we can get that 485. That's where I'm waiting next. Wet the beak there at 480. That's enough beak wetting for now. Let's see if we can get some more. So those are the trades I'm involved in at the moment. Here comes AISP back to that high side again. HOLO, how we doing with that? Okay, so goes right into my beak wetter, doesn't fill, but we got a couple of prints on this one already, okay? So HOLO, the only reason I'm involved in this one is up 80 some odd percent. It makes a big boy move through 5, tries it again, 488, technically the high. Now, let me tell you the truth. The truth is, entering HOLO here is a breach of my rules, okay? Because this is the pre-market high. That topic, that move, why the hell is this a 3-minute chart? 5 minute, there we go. So this candle over here at 9:10 a.m., this got to 528, I believe. 528, yes, 528. So that is technically the pre-market high. But look what it says over here in the green. It says 488. Well, how come? Because that's after the bell high. So that's after 9:30. So technically, the high of the day is 488, despite the fact that the pre-market high is 528. Now, why does that matter? Because I don't typically trade these small cap gappers until and unless they take out the pre-market high. That hasn't happened here. And I'm only noticing this now. That's an oversight by me. That's a mistake. So we'll at least see if we can eke out some more profits out of HOLO.
Oh, wow.
But typically, I wouldn't have been involved with this one unless and until it took out that level. We're taking out levels, though, as I see it here on AISP. We just took out 70s. I'm now waiting at 75s. Big Bear AI trying to continue as well. What's up, Joseph?
Hey, good stuff there. I was going to ask you, did you take a look at NXU? Were you talking about NXU today? Yeah, the chat was going crazy about this thing here. Definitely, definitely.
764%.
Yeah,
Nuts.
what?
What is this?
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let's pull this thing up here. NXU, are they NXU? Yes, they are. NAS, cool.
Yeah, it's flying, bro.
NXU, this thing is absolutely. We're not even gonna call it buzzing because it's soaring at this point. 775%. That is absolutely insane. On the session. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. Like, oh my God. Yeah, these get me really giddy. I'm not even gonna. I'm not gonna lie, man, because it's just like, imagine you just bought a couple calls of this thing, and then you get that return $1,000. Oh my God. Yeah, I got to start looking at these more, but it's so tough to catch them at the beginning of the move, right? The market is already planning on moving these before you can probably catch an eye on these things. So this thing is trading absolutely fantastic, continuing to move higher. NXU is a technology company which is engaged and is leveraging its intellectual properties and innovations to support energy storage and charging solutions. Okay, with a $35 million market cap just sitting under 36. You got $2 May 16 calls on BBAI. Thoughts? Yeah, we'll go over that in a second officially. Sharif loves your name, and I like your inputs on the options chain as well.
Officially unburdened?
Yeah, officially.
Oh, God, yeah. Amazing.
Officially, yeah.
And I love how we can't talk about the reason why, but it's all good. That's part of the fun of it.
It's part of it, yeah, exactly. A cryptic message. A cryptic message is officially. So, yeah, guys, is it halted now? Okay, wow. Yep.
NXU?
Yeah. NXU is now halted, folks. 213. Trading extremely well, up 775%. If you have the ability to catch some of these stocks, I don't know. I'm not going to go on too much about it, but that's something that I'm maybe going to start to look to get involved to. But I'm sure it offers a lot of due diligence. But I mean, that stuff is fun to me in my eyes. All right. So yeah, okay. Let's take a look at BBAI for you. Officially, what did you say you had on it again? Got $2 May 16 calls on BBAI. All right, well, one, you have a lot of time, May 16th, and you have $2 calls. Okay, so fantastic. You're sitting extremely pretty. You're not only are you collecting some intrinsic value, you got that extrinsic value holding steady. I'm not too sure when you bought it, but you have plenty of time. So, and that's what's going to be able to allow you to lock in a lot of profits if that's what you're looking to do with those contracts, is that you have that time value stuck to those contracts, especially if it expires on May 16th. So really nice look. You're up a couple 100% on the session, or even within the past couple of days. So yeah, officially, way to start picking up that steam in the options market, because I know you were getting involved in it, and then you were looking for specific trades and just doing your proper due diligence and getting involved in the right stocks, what it seems to be thus far. So allow those winners to continue to move higher. I'm curious to what you actually paid for those as well too, which would be absolutely fantastic to know, because that's a really nice trade, man, and congratulations on that front. So let's take a look at Tesla. I know a lot of people are talking about 3 weeks ago, just hopping into, so that's crazy. So that's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, here's Tesla, guys, holding the volume weighted average price. Maybe we reload here to see what the overall market is, but I do think that the Qs are going to slowly pull back here at some point, guys, because this just seems like pure extension. We're just going straight up. Eventually, it will pull back, but guys, we're going to send it off to Adara real quick.
Time to look here at small caps once again. IWM here. Let's support around 220.50s. You're now broken above it, just shy of 221 right now for that Russell 2000. Much like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, as we saw when we did the happening now at 12. Beautiful support starts forming here at 10 a.m. and we get a nice bounce. So anyone in the IWM reversion long, that was fantastic look there. Next level of potential support here, I mean, if we can get above this wick we made around 221, that would be a great look. Then we have this chop and turn here around 221.50s, and then that area just above 222. Now let's take a look at some of these small caps, some of these names popping up here for me on the volume scanner. SPCB, the first one here, Supercom. This one announcing this morning here is there is a catalyst for Supercom that they've secured some contracts with the South Dakota Sheriff's agencies, but they don't have any disclosed terms. So contract news here for SPCB with a float of 1.82 million shares and a market cap of $11.2 million. It's worth noting not a ton of volume in this one on the day, just over 1 million shares traded on the day, and they haven't even traded their whole float yet of 1.82 million shares. There's a little GRRR, Gorilla Technology Group. That one's certainly falling here from its high of day, but one to watch here. They were going to move a little bit on Friday as well. 16.5% short float, total float of 8.24 million shares. And beyond Friday, this name has run in the past as well. ONCO, the next one to talk about here, ONCO. That is on Kinetics. Penny stock here with a really small float, especially for a penny stock. 313,000 shares, just under $4 million market cap. About 1.93 million shares traded on the day, so not a ton of volume yet, but right now trying to break that 50-cent level is ONCO. We also have JDZG. This one had a catalyst currently halted. They did have a catalyst here on the morning, Friday morning here. This company's called Jade Limited. The company entered an equity transfer agreement here under which it agreed to acquire 75% interest in this company, Kunyan. So this JDZG, Chinese ADR here with a float of just under 20 million shares. Last one is, of course, NXU. This one halted currently just above that, actually now around $2, and we were a penny stock at the start of the day, NXU. Company's called NXU Inc. with a float of 11.2 million shares, market cap of $31 million. Lots of small caps to be aware of, and make sure you vote for the Playmaker poll in the chat to see if you want to go long or short on that S&P 500. Back to the Bash Brothers.
That's got to be my favorite segment. Obviously, Adara killing it with the small cap recap. We appreciate you there, Adara. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
What's the best-selling car currently in the world? And it's by Tesla. So I'm just narrowing it down because I want to get to my point.
The Model Y, is it? The Model Y?
So you know the Model Y, we've had it for a hot minute. I think 2020 was the first year, right after the Model 3. So it's due for a redesigning.
Oh, really?
And that redesign, Joseph, is the code name for that redesign is the Juniper. Not Jupiter, Juniper.
Juniper.
Ram, if you may, please. So obviously we can't see a whole lot here. But this is Juniper spotted in California, or in Texas, sorry, near Austin. And they've obviously covered everything. It widely speculated to have a connected light bar at the back, as well as more aggressive lighting in the front. The point is not to show you a car that we can't all see, is to tell you we are in the final stages of testing for Juniper. We're expecting it latest Q2, according to some analysts, of 25, Joseph.
Jeez.
This could have a fundamental impact on the deliveries for Tesla, because we know Model Y, number one, everybody likes it because SUV, people like SUVs. But now we're not going to be dealing with a dated design. It's going to have that big boy upgrade, light bar. You're going to have the interior lighting. There's going to be the double pane glass, everything kind of like that. I'm excited. If you're a Tesla bull, that's
if we can pull that video back up one more time. I don't know if that's too much.
Can we throw that up again?
Throw it. Throw it back up here. I don't know if that's too much of a disguise there. That is essentially me going like this and then being like, "Who am I? What's going on with that one?" But no, it looks good. You know what, Sharif? One thing. So there's a Tesla dealership just up the road from my place there, and the parking lot was full about not even a month ago, a couple of weeks ago. Last time I went and got my car. Of Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
Right now it's empty.
Really?
Yeah, it's empty. Yeah, so they delivered all of them.
Because I can't stop seeing them on the road.
Yeah, now you're seeing them all over the place.
Everywhere.
Right? The matte black ones, you're seeing a lot of the matte blacks.
Matte black.
And the blue.
So Cybertruck galore.
Yeah, Cybertruck galore. Yeah, I like that thing. I think it's just different, right? It's different than everything else in the field and in its class. So I like the Cyb. I don't think I'll be buying one anytime soon, but again, yeah, I like that thing. It looks pretty cool. It's totally different than the rest in class. But guys, here we are. Here, the Mag 7 is starting to pick up some steam. Like, look at this session that Meta is putting in, and now I know a lot of people in the chat are putting in Google as well too. I mean, we gapped down kind of in the pre-market. Well, we traded lower in the pre-market and are now starting to recover. Google's only down about 0.3% here, and slowly starting to recover, going to that opening, passing that opening drive, and going to some pre-market highs here, folks. So really strong session, maybe just a liquidity grab in the early morning, in the pre-market, and then now starting to recover on this. I mean, I don't know how much higher we can go on the Qs before we have somewhat of a pullback, but this is a really nice V-shaped recovery right here. So again, really nice price action. It is orderly, but the volume is kind of dwindling. So I think when the sellers do step in, I think they'll maybe step in a little more fierce than anticipated. I could be totally wrong on that front, but again, just a slow grind allows the ability for sellers to step in and push price back down. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, considering how we're trading now, especially if we do decide that we want to start to squeeze. Because once you have Nvidia continuing to make new highs, trading around 139.13, Katina Man's over $2 in the money now, I think, on Nvidia. I'm out of Nvidia, just below 139. Let's see what Apple is up to as well, too, folks. And some of these Mag 7 stocks, because we do know that they have been pretty much carrying the weight of this current rally on their back here. So some breadth, and with these guys moving continuously to the top side, that's good for the overall market right now. So again, with Apple's just hovering, nothing special, not a crazy day, a little bit of a recovery here on that front here, folks. With Apple, still, we're not too far off the all-time highs here. I think 260. Oh, okay, a little bit more than I thought. Yeah, 260 kind of being that benchmark of the all-time highs. Now trading around this level here, so about 3% off those all-time highs. Nothing crazy, nothing to be alarmed about. I know a lot of analysts say, hey, the market is now kind of primed for that 10% correction, and I'm not going to disagree on that front just because of the run that Apple's been on, Meta, Amazon, and Tesla as well too, my guy.
All right, guys. Eddie R is trolling me in the chat. He's like, bro, how much do they pay you for that ad? I'm like, I'm
Tesla,
man. I'm a fanboy. You guys know how I'm an Elon Musk fan. I'm a Tesla fan and an even bigger SpaceX fan. So, you know, usually 99% of the time I'm going to be talking well about it. And quite frankly, I have Tesla in my long-term account, not my swing account. But it's not even close to being the biggest position. I haven't added to it, and I hate holding it because it's
Tesla?
absolutely volatile. Absolutely.
Volatility.
But that doesn't negate the fact that I'm a fan, and that's just kind of
So sorry, you said you have it in your LT, not the swing?
No.
All right. Yeah.
It's in the LT. All right, guys, couple of things here. Let's talk about what we're doing. So BBAI, we added right on the dip. So we get that 10 exponential add, literally bottom wick, take out a little bit 74s. Now I'm waiting at 81s and then 85s, okay? So we had been adding to it before, just added to it again, took out some profits. Big Bear AI, we're involved in that one. INTZ, still break even on that one. I'm in NXU, so I did buy that dip trade, and now look, the tap is 178. I'm long 198. My everything below 160, I'm gone. Okay, so we'll see what this one does. Did really well here on AISP. I have top wick for now. I will be looking to add to AISP at around that $0.50. In fact, let's throw that in now. We're gonna sit at 651s for an add there. Doing really well on HOLO. I only have one more out on this one, up 92%. That's why I don't want to take anything out. We got long 430. Best out I have 456 or whatever. It's gone up to 465. Currently trading 463. Definitely looking for this one to curl up and test some of these highs. Okay, so keeping my eye on HOLO. But again, only one more out with this one, so I want to be quite selective with how I take it out. So that's a look right now. HOLO really going here. What else we got? We got NXU, which we're halted in at the moment, so nothing to talk about there. INTZ, we're break even on. Looking for this one to hold VWAP, then pop, HOLO, and then BBAI. Those are the positions I'm in right now. Again, with AISP, I am looking to add at that $1.50. So let me know what you guys are looking at. I see you guys talking about quantum again in the chat. Not really surprised there. QUBT, let's have a look at that one. What is that doing? Up 1 1/3 on the day. How about QBTS? So I'm just looking at them on my side charts. I'll let you know. QBTS is still down on the day. Looking to go green though, quite close. QSI, marginally green. How about our boy Rigetti? Okay, Rigetti just went green. It's up 4%, so we might have to keep an eye out on Rigetti. Rigetti's not a small cap gapper, though, guys. I don't want you guys to think that Rigetti or GTI is what I'm talking about. This is a $4.33 billion market cap, okay? So this is not something that we can just, you know, it's not here tomorrow, or sorry, it's here today, it's not here tomorrow. That's not the look with this one. This is it's a bit of a larger company. It's up 4.5%, having trouble with 18. Topping tail candle on Friday into that 19 to third, and we never recovered. There is another area of resistance here at around 18, which could, you know, hold up the ascent, so to speak. We kind of topped out there at 11:30 on Friday. We'll see if we can get a move past that level today. So involved in all these ones right now. We're about 4 positions. Let's see what people are talking about. RC, today's Trader TV, sponsored by Elon stock today. Yeah, almost every day, because Tesla seems to make it onto the morning rundown and the afternoon rundown. Okay. I bet you today probably will not be any different. People like Tesla, right? Let's see what else people are talking about there. Sarah Burdette, what about LODE? Let's have a look at LODE for Sarah. Are you related to?
No, I did. The spelling is
It's not even close.
Yeah,
but you know, I hear Burdette, Brodette. Yeah, I gotta say something. He's not in the chat today.
I've seen that a couple times too.
You saw that, eh? All right, LOD is a good look, Sarah. I mean, what are we up on the day on this thing? We're up 40%. It's a sub $1 name, but it is knocking on the door of that dollar. And by extension of that, it's knocking on the door highs, 93 pennies or so on LODE is the HOD, the high of the day. Let's do a little bit more wider time frame charting to see what the situation is. Well, it's been higher highs and higher lows as of late. That's as of late. How about the daily? What do we got on the daily? Well, it looks like we're going to have to wait half an hour on this one for it to load. I hate that when it does that. So let's pack our patience. Okay, so this one's been moving for a few days now. Really got off the schneid there at around 25 pennies and has been putting outsized volume days. By example, Friday we had about 48 million shares traded. Today we got 36, and we're not even close to being done the day. So this one's been running. It's obviously a penny stock. Still is. Let's see if it can take that buck. Good call out, Sarah. I'm going to put that on the side chart, as this could be an entirely different trade north and south of $1. So I'm going to take out GTI, which is one that we were trading on Friday, and we're going to put LOD. And I'm going to keep my eye out on this bad boy over here and see how we end up faring with this one. Let's go back to Holo. So back into local highs, 470. I'm not taking anything out. I'm going to take out something above 88s. So that is technically the high of the day on Holo, but as I mentioned, 528 is that pre-market high, okay? So ideally, I'd like a break and take of that 528. In fact, I'd add to it at the highs there, okay? Because the pre-market high break to me is important. Here we go with NXU. We dip down, I'm adding here. Let's see what we can get. We get some at 82s. Anything below 60, I'm done this trade. It's simple as that. So what's our price on this thing right now? Let's have a look. NXU, we've got 91s, into 89s we go. Let's pack our patience. You know, I don't like trading these halting ones, but this one is respecting the moving averages. And it's staying above the moving average. Let's see if we can wet our beak, possibly at 95s. Here comes 91s. A lot of chop and churn. This was a 10-minute halt. And so the problem is with these longer halts is that the theoretical auction price often starts to bleed, right? The longer you're halted, the more people want to get the hell out of there. So what they do is they put market on open sell orders to get the hell out of there. And when they do that, it brings down the theoretical auction price because, again, keep in mind, the auction is what it sounds like. They're pairing bids, just like the morning opening auction. So here we go, 94s now. I'm waiting at 95s. Can we cross? We're gonna have to pack our patience here. It looks like they're selling, unable to get the fill. Like how many, seriously? It won't print, that's so annoying. Okay, so we're gonna wait up a little bit higher since we didn't get the fill at 91s, and now it's coming back down, true to form. That's really frustrating. At 95s, excuse me. So I'm gonna wait at 98s as well to see if this one wants to move back up. So packing my patience here with NXU. Stops already in place. If it takes out anything south of 460, we're gone. Let's look at Big Bear AI. Doing real well on that. We just took out the high of the day on Big Bear AI. I am looking now for a move into 85s. We just got 82s. This thing's up 14%. Wainers in the backs at 420. He basically got Friday's closing print. That is what they close out on Friday on Big Bear AI. It was a 421 closing print there. And now we are at the high of the day, 482 BBAI. Back to NXU. Let's see if we're able to take out that level there. 95s was the seller. No, we're unable to take them out. 92s. Now we're putting in lower highs. That concerns me, despite the fact that we're still above the 10 exponential moving average. So NXU, very volatile. It's up 675%. Trade this carefully, and for God's sake, use profit takers and use stops. If not hard, then mental. Otherwise, you may not have an account, especially if you're using big boy size to trade tomorrow. So that's what I'm in right now, involved in those ones. Let's see what comes next, Joseph.
Yeah, Sharif, the chat is definitely not shying away from this one. They're letting me know that IBIT is starting to roll.
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
like
I'm not going to complain, but I let off some in the swing account, though, about half in the swing, but it's only about a couple percentage points overall. But again, yeah, a little too soon. Are we going to give myself these? Maybe. I don't know. I still have half a position. I'm still going to stick by that there's some potentially more downside. But as of right now, this recovery is phenomenal, especially it's just kind of tracing the cues. LBM Photo was talking about it. LBM, it looks like we were wrong here, my guy, especially to the top side. We're like, yeah, it's not really correlated to the top side, but it's selling. Sure enough, it's starting to pick up a little bit more steam, even though we're still slightly negative on the session, about 0.3% here. But we are really starting to pick up steam on some of these mega cap tech stocks, and as well as the cryptocurrency. Now, one thing that is slightly laggard here is AMD. And that's exactly why I don't think I'm going to chase it, because by the time this thing, it's lagging for a reason, I think, in my opinion. I mean, it can continue to move higher with the overall market, but if the market decides that it wants to pull back and AMD is this laggard to the overall market, then expect that pullback to be a little bit more aggressive than anticipated. So, yeah, that was a tough look on AMD, and I'm kind of kicking myself here now on the IBIT sell. But again, I'm not too worried about it. Still going to stick to the plan. I do think there's going to be potentially more downside unless we're holding these levels, which, excuse me, as of right now seems to be the case. So again, at some point, as Neil likes to say, it's okay to be wrong, but you don't want to stay wrong for long. And I wouldn't say that we're wrong in this case. We may have jumped the gun slightly early, but only time will tell. And I think in the coming days, we'll be able to depict whether that was a solid move or not. But again, right now, Nvidia continuing to climb higher and higher and higher, still squeezing to the top side, up over 2% on the session now. It's another hot dog cannon from our 139. You're long 139? Nvidia?
Yeah, it was long.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, we're going to go past the chicken dinner winners. It's steak dinners these days for the Katina family. Now, reckon in those W's, guys. And the overall market, as I mentioned before, continuing to climb higher. But let's take a look at some of the top-performing stocks from a volume standpoint, all right? An RGTI at the top of its class today with 116 million shares traded. RGTI. Let's take a look at it, and continuing to climb higher. Like, wow. Absolute fantastic. And let's pull out and like look at this run this thing has been on. We're not quite at the all-time highs here on RGTI. Is that all-time highs? Yeah, looks like it. So yeah, inauguration around here. Again, yeah. So yeah, things are really, really squeezing right now, folks. Especially these mega cap stocks. Nvidia continuing to move higher, tapping on the door of $140. Let's take a look at Meta as well too, because it is trading extremely well on the session. We were too soon to cut off the Santa Claus rally, Sharif, because things are still climbing higher and higher here as Meta goes and tests these pre-market highs from earlier in the day. So again, mega cap leading the way on this absolute monster rally. IBIT still climbing higher as well too. Putting in that volume, putting in those extremely strong bullish candles on the 5-minute. Really good look from that standpoint. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not going to complain too much. We still have some skin in the game. We're still in TSLA as well too. Should have played that VWAP bounce, but again, as the market continues to crawl higher and higher, I think we just get slightly more extended. Are we going to sell heavily? As of right now, it's not looking like to be the case. So at this point, you're just going to look for any form of pullback and look to get involved in some of these strong stocks.
All right. Okay, so BBAI, we just took out 85s. I'm now waiting at 92s. We'll see if this one wants to continue moving up. I'm happy that we added at 65. Shout out to Wayne. He just send it. So you can tell he's involved in that one. Good move into that 10 exponential. So that was a good add there. So I'm happy that we added there because we didn't have, we didn't have a big position anyway, but we've got a bit of a bigger one there. So keep an eye out on that one. I'm really disappointed with the fact that I didn't add on AISP on that dip down. So I've have an ad technically sitting at 51s, but I shouldn't have been sitting at the $0.50. I really should have been basing it off the 10 exponential because that's what AISP has respected on the day. I'm talking about the 10 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart. You have one breach of that, one decided breach of that 10 exponential the entire day. And it happened right over here and it was bought up quite aggressively. It was this candle here at 11 o'clock. It did dip down almost into that volume weighted average price, not quite, and then it got bought right back up. You have no closing prints, red, green, or otherwise, even yellow, because yellow counts too, neutral, below the 10 exponential. So I should be basing my entries or my ads, on AISP at that 10 exponential. So pack our patience, see if we can get anything a little bit there. HOLO, I'm still involved in that one, but look, I'm not going to take anything out. I've put my stop right below my entry. I'm long at, what am I long? 30s. I've given it to below 25, so breaches that $0.25, I'm out. But with HOLO, I'm looking at adding. So if it comes back into that $0.25 area where VWAP is, I'm going to add into that and holds up, comes into VWAP and then holds up and has a higher low than this area trough over here where we got in, I'll add into HOLO. All right, so that's my look right now, keeping my eye on that. Now, I'm involved in NXU again to the downside. I did like this dip trade over here, still above that 20 exponential, still above VWAP, and still above my exit on this one, which is $1.60. The reason I'm basing it on the $1.60 is this area consolidation over here. So anything below that $1.60 on NXU, we're done. Now, what's the current tap on NXU? Well, it's $1.65. So we're currently halted technically at 172, so the theoretical auction price a little bit lower. So we'll see what this one does. It's 2 now down halts in a row on NXU. Gives up any more below that $1.60. I am done with that. Now, what else do we have moving over here? BBAI just keeps taking out tops, bro. Here we go again, 92. Shout out to Wainers. We just got printed at 92s. It is continuing to go. I only have one more out here on BBAI, so I'm gonna let this one run and see if we can get into $5 or something like that in and around that area. I'm also keeping an eye on LODE. It's been kind of going into that $1 area, and now we have 2 topping tail candles into that 98.90, essentially $1 on LOD. Shout out to whoever, I think it was that Sarah Brodette was mentioning this to me. So 2 topping tail candles right now at 98. The reason I mention it right there is because these are different trades north and south of the dollar. So when you have resistance at the dollar area like that, kind of to be expected. Now, how do you trade this? Personally, I'd be looking for a dip trade, maybe off the 20 exponential now that we've got these 2 topping tail candles. So around 93, 94 pennies to build in my position for maybe a test of that dollar area. We'll have to wait and see how this one all does. By the way, the pre-market high there is interesting, is at 94 pennies. That was the first print that we got right at 4 a.m. We zigged all the way up to 94 and we just cleared it now. So this could be an interesting trade. Katina Man, what's going on over there? The Katina Man is $1 in the money because you hit the dollar club. So I just want to let them know what you're looking at. The Katina Man just got some out of Nvidia at 140. He's also in Faraday futures as well, so keep your eye on that. I don't know if we've got more Trader TV, but I think he wants to show his screen, so maybe we can get the production team to help out here and show the Katina Man screen if we're able to. There he is. So he just took out a whole bunch, and now he's got more at a Fifi. Shout out to Faraday Future. Too bad we don't have Randy to come talk about EVs today. In any event, Katina Man doing great today, and we do have more Trader TV Live. Sean's position is on the right. Neil's position is on on the left, so keep an eye on that. And someone was telling, Ram was telling us about Faraday Futures about 2 weeks ago. She's got a proprietary scanner that none of us know anything about. It's called her brain.
You know what? I don't know if I believe.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know if I believe this.
Well, let's ask her. Ram.
My loss?
All right, guys. NXU is coming down aggressively into that 161 for breaches 160, and on the ask, I'm gone. So we're going to flatten out there. So that's an L on NXU. We'll look to set up possibly at that $120. There does seem to be support in and around there, but if it wants to curl up here, we'll get back in. But currently, nope. We're going to have to take out everything for an L on NXU. 2 down halts added into this one, not to be traded, I guess. Under that system, so we'll see what this one does, Joseph.
Yes, sir. Well, I remember some people were talking to me about some things here. Let's FFI trading extremely nice, but let's see what. Unfortunately, we didn't take more shares here on this Nvidia trade, especially on this breakup. We mentioned this ascending wedge that it was forming, and sure enough, it broke that. And then in a couple minutes after, 10, 15 minutes later, that volume really kicked in, and then we continued to the northeast here on NVDA. So that was a really nice trade. We did get some meat of the move on that front, but again, would have liked to have a little bit more, but that's okay. There will always be another one. So let's see what we got going on from a daily perspective here on NVDA. All right. So I mentioned this before. We held these levels extremely well. Sharif just kind of went over a lesson on some head and shoulders. Are you going to call this that? Maybe. A little bit more subjective on that front from this one. But then we had the inability to breach and hold this support system here. So again, trading extremely higher now on the session, up about 2.4%. But this engulfing candle on the daily, I think, was really key. A really strong session that we put in here. And then sure enough, we just continued to the northeast with this little bit of a breath, and then now continuing to move higher. I think it's only a matter of time that NVDA goes and starts to test these all-time highs. So I think we're headed in that right path. I think it's maybe come the new year. Well, come the new year, we're definitely going to see a new all-time high on NVDA. But guys, as you see here on the market, as I mentioned before, slightly extended. Now starting to engulf a little bit of this this grind that we've been on here. So again, one thing that always I remember in my earlier days of trading that really, really irked me, and this would cause me to start paying more attention to price action, is that you're grinding here for what time? We'll call it 11:15. So for over an hour and a half, you've been grinding, and then I remembered there was just a couple of days where I'd be in some trades for like a couple hours at a time, and then out of nowhere in 10, 15 minutes, excuse me, all those gains are wiped out from aggressive selling or buying, whatever direction I may be in. So here we go. We have 10 minutes of trading, engulfing essentially the last half hour. I mentioned, hey, that we were grinding. This price action did seem a little extended, so it was only a matter of time until we got that pullback. Is this pullback complete? I don't know. That selling pressure is starting to pick up a little bit. Not to be a negative Nancy or anything, I'm just explaining to what I see. So again, let's see what happens here on this pullback, if this volume does continue to be sustained, or is it just going to be somewhat of a pullback because the volume is dwindling on some of these mega caps. So I am looking at Tesla as well, Meta as well too, and the volume on this pullback is extremely low. So let's see what happens there on this Meta front, and I'll just display quickly exactly what I'm looking at. So as we moved higher here, folks, you can see that this volume is slightly lower, so that can be a positive signal that this may be just somewhat of a breath before we can continue to the northeast, folks. But BBAI still climbing a little bit higher, trading around $4.90 now. Fantastic trade from Wayner and the boys that are involved in that. So runs with bulls, that was what I was asking before on the cup and handle, the V-shaped fill. Does this turn into a handle or a breakdown, and how do you judge that volume and options sizing? I don't quite understand what you're asking me there, run with bulls, to be honest with you. So I can't answer that. I'll read it a little bit more when I send it back off to Sharif, and then maybe I'll be able to give you an answer here now. But again, looking like a micro pullback this far, because we pulled back here, and then now NVDA still deciding to climb higher, going to go and test that $140 price target. which is absolutely phenomenal, especially if the market wants to continue to move this. We're going to need Nvidia to start to participate on that front. And I mean, let's take a look at AMD. Technically, essentially its cousin here. Oh, continuing to trade, again, not moving like NVDA. And let's take a look at AVGO as well, too, to see what some of these chips. Yeah, see, so kind of lagging these chip stocks here is AMD. Can it pick up some steam? As of right now, it's not looking too bad. I mean, these prints are starting to become a little bit larger from a volatility standpoint, an average true range for these 5-minute prints. But again, that volume is just dwindling and it's lagging the rest of the market. So that's something that I would not want to be chasing, because if the market does decide that it wants to pull back a little bit, I think it's going to affect AMD slightly more there. All right, so let's go back to TSLL. It's the only position that we're in right now, holding these levels. Maybe we add a little bit here. If it does decide that it wants to break VWAP and hold it to the sell side, then we'll just punch out of the trade of the addition here. But again, it's lagging the overall market, so there must be some form of weakness and reason why it doesn't want to participate with the rest of the mega cap tech stocks.
Sounds good, Joseph. All right. So I see a new couple over here that we need to report on. WIMI, WIMI. Shout out to Team Money for calling that one out. It's not the biggest percentage winner on the day, but a respectable trend and kind of another one of those ones where that's awfully respectful of the 10 exponential moving average. And the reason that's important is because it gives you, I don't want to say anything is guaranteed, obviously, but a higher probability entry that if you put in a dip trade to shadow the 10 exponential moving average, if you wait at least 10 minutes, you should be in the money a little bit. So this one did dip down at around that 12:10 time slot into the 20. It got bought up quickly. I don't really think it was as much as of a 20 retracement as it was a 260 retracement, which is an obvious area of previous area of resistance. That double top that we put in at 1020 and 1025, it dips in there, met with buyers, and it's printing 292s now at HOD, currently at 288, but still above the 10 exponential. So good look there. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm back into NXU at the $0.50. Just took out some there at 65s. Next beak wider above that that halt level at $1.74. We'll see if this one wants to hold up at that $1.50. There is price action support for that $1.50 hold up. It wasn't just a psychological support at the $1.50. There was actually a rejection area there. So if we do hold up here, all the better. Packing my patience and trying to be reasonable with my profit takers, looking to front run that $0.75 area on NXU. Multiple halter, and the last couple of halts have all been downside halts. Let's see if we're able to catch a bit of a bid, moving up right now into that $1.65. But you feel like there's churning, there's a lot of shares churning, but it's really unable to ascend with the same vigor that it was ascending before. So that's kind of normal. You can't have the same squeeze second time around as you did the first, or maybe you can. So we'll continue to pack our patience here. Into a $1.70 we go. I'm waiting at that $1.74. It's going to have to cross. There is size here at the 10 penny level at a $1.70. Look at that. Look at the level 2 and the time and sales just chop and churn. It's a dollar name, obviously, right? So it makes sense that there is a lot of volume, Joseph. Here we go. It looks like we're going to halt, at least for the moment, at a $1.72. Could be a false halt. This happens all the time. And right now it does look like it's going to be a false halt. There we go. It is a false halt. Into 73 we go. We get the print at 74. Keep going here. Let's go. Let's focus right now. And, oops. NXU. Here we go. There we go. Now we're okay. So looks like it's going to halt at a $1.75. I don't mind being caught in an up halt over here. We're long 54s. There we go. So we are now caught in an up halt on NXU. We were caught in 2 dang down halts. So it's nice to be caught in a up halt too. So that's the look there. BBAI knocked on the door of 495. That door got rejected. Coming back down into 88s now. I am going to likely put an addition here on BBAI, likely at 480 to 482. Okay? I like 82 because I'm born in 82s. I'm very superstitious like that. You're going to see me writing at 25, 69, 82. That's just kind of how I trade. But there is price action support, Joseph, at that 480. The reason it's support is because we rejected it initially. So, and it's also the 10 exponential moving average, and it hasn't breached the 10 exponential. So let's go ahead and put a DCA. I'm going to wait at 82s over here, so we might get the fill soon because it's coming down to 85s. Come what may, all right, we're going to see exactly what we get there. We won't get upset. BBAI in focus. Holo, I already told you guys to deal with that one. I've only got one beak wetter left on that, so we're going to let that one ride. You know, I've already placed my stop below the 4 1/4. We're long 430, so we'll risk 5 pennies for the remaining amount over here. But if I had to guess, this looks like it is going to break down because now we're putting incrementally lower highs. If we base it off this 488 top, okay, so that's one area crest. How about this one? Well, this one rejects at 480. So we're kind of doing a compression pattern, if I could say so. We have lower highs, but at the same time, we have higher lows. So we'll have to see which way this resolves. HOLO, it's a big boy mover on the day, 87.5. It's a what's it called, a repeat offender in terms of small cap gappers, one that we've seen now show up on the scanner, I don't know, for the last 8 months, 10 months. Adara would know better. She has a eidetic memory, but Holo, how long have we been trading Holo? February, she says. So there you go. We're almost going on a year right now on HOLO. It keeps showing up on our scanner as a small cap gapper. So we'll see what this one does right now. SMX, a new one over here, and it behooves us to talk about it because it just touched 92 pennies and then it now dipped into 75, and lo and behold, look what's waiting for it at 75 pennies. Not just that psychological support around that 3/4 area. No, the 10 exponential was there. And when these things trend, for whatever reason, they have this magnetic effect at times that brings them back into the 10 exponential. Call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it algo programming, whatever, okay? Lots of people I know are looking at that 10 exponential. A lot of algos are programmed to look at retracements that come into the 10 exponential. So it's not just a guessing game that it's going to hold up. There is a reason why we got them up on the chart. In any event, it's holding up right now. It's got a 3-candle red setup. This is the first green candle. You could get in here, sure. You could put your stop below that 65 penny area, so you'll have to risk 15, which means that this has got to break $1 for you to have a 1-to-1. To me, that's a little too rich, because I don't want to risk all the way down into 67.5. I'd rather this one breach a 10 exponential, come back into that 70 penny, 65 penny area, and then I'll have a dip trade waiting for it there. But as we wait for this one to breach or take that level, we're going to send it to Adara at the big desk. She's got something for us.
We're going to take a look here at crypto, and I always like to do something a little bit different for the afternoon or midday variant of this segment. Usually we just take a look at the Bitcoin chart and take a look at what Binance has here, but I want to take a look at some anchored VWAPs. Before we get to that, I did have one actually for Bitcoin from the election, but for whatever reason it didn't save. I will tell you, Bitcoin is currently below that level though, but it's worth noting we did bounce off that other key level here of support. We mentioned that 90.5 level. So BTC is right now making a bit of a bottoming tail candle, looking to actually go green on the day. Let's see if we can eclipse these area of resistance from the weekend just above 95,000. And with that, we're going to take a look here at some anchored VWAPs. Shout out to Brian Shannon, who talked a little bit about these election anchored VWAPs. You know, November 5th was a huge day for the market. It was also a huge day for crypto. So this is the daily chart. I drew this anchored VWAP here for Ethereum from the election, as you can tell here on the daily chart. Actually below this level currently, despite staying above it for quite some time. We make this double top, then we crack below the anchored VWAP, currently around 3450s. Right now we're here at 30, just shy of 3,400. So below the AVWAP here, but making slightly higher lows is ETH. Then we have XRP. XRP, interestingly enough here, we didn't get a ton of volume the day of the election, even though it had that push up. So I actually made this anchored VWAP from December 2nd. In case you recall, that was the day that Ripple actually became the third highest market cap in crypto. Now it's actually back to the fourth because it was eclipsed again by Tether. But it's worth noting here, we had a little bit more volume on this day from December 2nd. That being said, we actually were not able to stay above that AVWAP for very long. We've been below it for quite some time here for XRP USD. So just want to take a quick look at some of these names with anchored VWAP. Once again, a shout out to Brian Shannon for that. Back to you.
Hey, the funds, hey.
Another one.
Oh, dude, was that you who hit that? I hit the, I'm reloaded. That's my favorite one now. I need that one. That's my favorite. Hit that reloaded for me one more time, my guy, please. Yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. That's good stuff. Thank you for that. Yeah, are you still crushing it on NVDA there, or what do you got cooking up there? Shorting Palantir. Watch out for Alex Karp. You don't want him to hear that there. So we'll keep that one on the hush. Folks, all right, let's see. All right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Another face slapper there. All right, folks. Let's get back to the drawing board here. The Playmaker poll. We're gonna wait for Sharif to get back on this one. We're gonna log the trade. I think we're sitting in a tough spot today for the Playmaker poll. So again, we're not in the right time frame, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. We'll wait for Sharif. We're gonna document this one. Guys, we didn't get to 1,000 votes on that, so that's a little disappointing. So yeah, let's get those to 1,000 votes next time, folks, please. And thank you. FFIE is still continuing to move higher. I got out of Tesla. I mean, the market is just roaring at this point. We'll pull up IBIT because I'm in IBIT here. Why? So we had that extremely strong move to the top side, all right? And then we put in that little consolidation phase here, folks. And then sure enough, bang, as we go to break it, price starts to turn around. We have this indecision candle here, so we take it to the top side. So that's why we're in some IBIT. We're still negative on the session, but Bitcoin really, really bouncing off of these support levels here. So again, did I paper hand this? I don't know. I'm not going to jump the gun too early on that yet. Only time will tell if I decided to offload some shares a little bit too early, but that's totally fine. We still got plenty of skin in the game, so we'll just be patient on this front and see what happens. If this is going to be a permanent bounce, we'll be able to depict that. There's no questioning that on that front. But again, IBIT trading really nice. We're going to trim some here now, folks, as Sharif pulls back and we get ready to document our trade. Yeah, the Playmaker poll. So yeah, exactly. I said to the people, Sharif, I think we're sitting in a tough spot here on today.
Okay.
But we can be wrong. We've been wrong before, and being wrong is definitely in the picture. And I want to be wrong. I voted short, but hey. So I mean,
sorry, brother.
No, it's all good.
But I think
hey,
it's one of
man,
those ones where you be fine with me being right and you being wrong.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
That,
I'm totally okay with that. So let's get into this position here, Sharif.
Sir.
What is our entry price here
our
on the
entry
Playmaker?
currently 591.26.
26. Beautiful stuff there. Our target price is?
We're gonna go 593.26.
Love it. And then our stop loss is going to be
590.
590.26, folks. All right, so then that's it. We're in it. What was the time? 112. We're in it to win. Hey, man, I'm never in it to lose it. I'll tell you that for sure. I didn't play any hockey this weekend, which was a little disappointing. I did have some pickup earlier, so it was kind of like an off. So then I went extremely hard in the gym both days.
Like that.
So yeah, exactly.
Good.
So yeah, having fun on those fronts. But I mean, it's winter time, so now we gotta. I know my guy's on a heavy cut here. Are you still on the cut?
Oh
or?
God, yeah. Well, it's like a permanent thing, though.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So then it's just your diet, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So
can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Because like the whole issue of cutting for the summer, and then you're like at your peak at the end of the summer.
Exactly. No, but that's
I'm gonna
exactly
give it. I'm gonna go right back now. So this whole thing was exercise in futility.
That's kind of what I was getting at. It's like we start now to be ready for summer, right? So when everybody's like just starting to run, it's like no, I mean we've been there. We've been playing hockey. We've been in the gym. So yeah, that's exciting. So again, just get that ready, and then by the summer you're gonna hit that peak. That pinnacle of your fitness come the middle of summer when it's nice and hot, unless you live in Florida or Cali where it's warm all year round. I just, you know what, I fantasize, I think, a little bit too much on what it would be like if I lived in 365, just consistent 24 degrees.
They don't like it. It's like humans in general, they don't, because we don't have seasons. Like my sister, right? Like she just came, they were all pumped, the kids pumped for the snow, can't get enough of the snow, started complaining that the snow is melting.
Oh,
so it's
really?
like, are you serious?
Yeah,
I don't want to see any snow on the ground. It ruins my car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
the salt,
dude, you had all the salt. How many times do you have to run your car through the car wash?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I go at least once a week to keep the thing.
Easily,
you know what
right?
I mean? It's all salty and everything along those lines. On the West Coast, they don't have the salt though, I guess, because of the ocean.
No, clearly, no, they don't have a problem with salt because they don't put any salt on their their roads. They don't have a reason to, right?
Exactly. No, but that's one thing we'll touch on before we get into more stocks. I know when I go away, usually around my birthday or in the New Year's, and it's like really hot because we're used to the seasons, right? So you get that consistent hot weather, whether you're there for a week. It is, for the first 10 minutes, coming back to the cool air is nice. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I do. And then it's like, all right, exactly. We'll rebook the flights and head back the other way there, folks. But I mean, here we go, SPY. Here goes SPY, folks. Continuing to move higher here, breaking these highs. So we had a pretty good entry price right there, about 20 cents in the money so far on that front. But let's take a look at the top performing sectors because the sentiment has changed and the broader picture has changed so far on the day. When we first started off at 11 o'clock when I was reading off the top performing sectors, we didn't have a single one in the green here. So let's see if we can get this to load up. Of course, I mean, energy's still leading the way, up about 0.43%. So you know what we're going to do here real quick? We're going to pull up these ETFs, XLE, and see what we're looking at from a broader perspective. So here you are, XLE, from an intraday perspective, trading extremely nice. Let's zoom out here. This thing hasn't been trading the best. Like, this is not the best sector ETF to own here, but we're slowly recovering off these bottoms like Bitcoin and some other key stocks here. We're holding some key support levels there, so we'll point that one out there. Nice recovery here on XLE, but XLE leading the way from the top performing sectors. And then now we have XLU sitting in second place, negative on the session, but still trading really nice. So let's zoom in here real quick. And sure enough, starting to recover, not anywhere close to these pre-market highs, but again, recovering on the day, really nice on XLU. And then we have XLC sitting in third place here, still negative on the session, 0.55%, but slowly starting to recover, leading the way by Google and Meta. So here is XLC, folks, looking really nice. And then let's take a look at XL, what is it? XL, why can't I remember what this is?
Did you put Tesla on the first poll? You did.
I think I did. Yeah. What's a discretionary? What's the discretionary XL?
Oh, I don't know. Neil, what's the discretionary?
Is it XOY?
ETF?
Yeah, XOY. There we go. A little bit of a brain fart there. XOY consumer discretionary there. XOY still recovering, but this is the worst performing one this far there, folks. Again, led by whatever the discretionary brain fart on this one. Not going to think too hard on that. But yeah, that's the discretionary, I guess, Tesla and Amazon.
All right, I'm just getting the poll ready. We're going to have that one for you guys in a hot second. Let's just key which of the microchips to throw on there. We already had Nvidia, obviously. Micron today getting shellacked 2%, but I think everybody wants to see what AVGO is doing and have us talk about that. So we're going to throw that on there as well. MicroStrategy is also making its way on. Neil, any ticker that you'd like to see on the second poll? Because we're missing one. No, we haven't.
No, I did RG. I'm pretty sure I did RGTI on the first one.
You did. Okay, so it is on the first one. Okay. It's breaking out right now. Everybody's yelling about Rigetti. We'll have a look at that. All right, we're gonna throw on one small cap gapper over here. We already threw Big Bear AI, but that doesn't really count as a small cap gapper. Well, because it's kind of been doing its thing. We'll throw Holo on there. There we go. Ram, it's sent. Ready for that. All right, so let's look here at NXU. I'm still involved in this one. We're long 54s, just wet the beak at 75s, looking for this one to hold the current pattern, which is higher lows. Here we go with 75 again. I'm waiting at 85, and I won't move down my exit, okay? So that's a look there. BBAI continues to print higher highs. Now, 497. I didn't get the ad, sadly, at 82s. I did want to add, it looks like the ad area was 85. After the fact analysis, obviously not going to help me there. Holo is continuing to go, and I've only got one more out on this one, and I'm not taking it out unless we get a $5 touch and bump. We'll see. We already know that the pre-market high is 528, okay? I wasn't even supposed to be trading this until it breached 528. That's one of my rules, to take it above the pre-market high. So I'm going to pack my patience. If this one wants to hit 528, fantastic. Otherwise, I will get stopped out through the break of a quarter. I just will not take it out before that. We'll pack our patience and see what comes from that. Now, it behooves us to look at RGTI because everybody and their mother is talking about it. Rigetti, it just printed high day right there at 8.25. It looks like it's bull flagging. Okay, hard to tell, obviously, if it is or it isn't, but this is what I see. A big boy move through that 16.75 consolidation area. This is the 5-minute chart on RGTI. Let's throw on the ticker there so everybody can follow along. And the closing print on our friend Rigetti was 17.10. All right, so we get that big boy move through 16.75. That's where I'm going to submit to you the initiation of this current bull flag is, okay? And then we get the top break there. It looks like it topped out at 91s. Then we weasel on up to 18. We do breach 18, albeit momentarily 18.25. Now it looks like we've got a bit of a range here. 1760 possibly to the downside. I love when Adara claps when I say range. Get it, Adara. So 17 and 2/3, 17.75 to the downside of this range to about $18, give or take. Okay, what I'm seeing though is respect again for the 10 exponential. So if you're going to trade Rigetti, my submission to you is build your position towards the low end of what I perceive to be the consolidation area of the bull flag and wait for that big boy breakout, whether that breakout is really 18 or 18.25. I'll submit to you the real breakout is 18 because it didn't hang out all that much at 18.25. RGTI, it's had multiple great days. It's a repeat offender. Not much. It's not up much today, about 3.75%. But it's got a great pattern on its hands, and that's all we really need to care about if we can predict the price action over here. So I'm keeping my eye certainly on Rigetti, and we'll be looking to weasel into that if appropriate. Holo rejecting that high again. However, now that I'm seeing it, there's a whole bunch of selling generally at 480. Now you breached 480 at times. You did it initially over here. You got to 480 over here and you breached it again over here. But when you look at the actual price action, you're not breaching it on a decisive basis. And you can tell there's a lot of selling on HOLO at that 480. Why? I don't know. And I don't personally care. I just know that, in fact, it's valid as a resistance area. So HOLO meeting a lot of selling at that 480 area. Now, let's look at the one that we're currently involved in, which is NXU, which is breaching now both the 10 and the 20. I don't like this. My stop, where's my stop on NXU? Because it's going to get moved up here. So the current stop on NXU is at 147. I think that that's valid just based on the current price action, so I'm not going to actually move it up. So we'll leave NXU. If it stops me out for the remaining amount, I've got a bit of a bigger position too on NXU. So yeah, I can't really weasel out any here. I don't like any of the the exits here on NXU. So I have to pack my patience on that. What else we got over here? SMX came back into that 70 penny area. We were talking about this one being a big boy mover and possibly a breach of that dollar. It's coming to the 20 exponential around 70 pennies. This could be an interesting buy area. VWAP is around 66. I personally like it at VWAP a little bit better to account for this 1150 area top, which is around, again, 66 pennies. So that area top and VWAP conflating or confluencing, as Obi likes to say, at that 66.5 penny area. But right now it's finding support at 70. So we'll have to see, can it make it down there? So let's, that's the small cap gapper look for now. Let me just make sure that nothing else is running. And I am wrong. There is a new one. There's several new ones. So AERT, Aries Technology running up here. Let's bring in the side chart and have a look at that one because it's breaking out as we speak. AERT, excuse me, AERT. So this one was running as well in the aftermarket on Friday, and we just took out that aftermarket high at 210. So this is a move de novo, and that means new, a new move essentially. AERT. Let me just throw that ticker there. Getting the majority of the volume coming in at 110. Right? It did almost no volume earlier than that. Oh boy, we're getting that big boy volume at that 110 time slot. It's currently 123. Topping tail candle, Joseph, into 2 2/3, coming back into 2 1/3 now. Possible dip trade-off too. You know, you have psychological support at $2. VWAP is also at that $2 area. We'll have to see if this one can continue here. I don't like to take these just quick like that. So AERT in focus here, Joseph.
Hey, good stuff there, my brother, man. I mean, what a recovery so far on the day with Bitcoin. Like I don't want to say I had this thing written off because you know that I don't, but I did think that we were going to see a little bit more downside today. That hasn't been the case. An absolute beautiful recovery. So again, just a mental note that I had to myself this morning was because we were extremely weak in the pre-market session. And I was like, okay, it's either this weakness is going to continue or it's going to be a complete rebound, and the latter half has been correct. So yeah, we'll slap one of these on them for me, and then we're not going to call it a rinse, but again, just slightly, just like just one of those moments, you know what I mean? But it's okay. As the Piper and I were talking about earlier, just relax. We're not going to get too worried about it. Because I wanted to swing the bat extremely heavy on this one, but again, we're not going to write it off just yet. So, taking a look at Bitcoin, just what a recovery off the bottom here, putting in almost 5K cents off these lows. So again, really nice recovery. I did have a thesis built that this pivot was going to be kind of a rebound, and then we had the inability to break it up until the earlier in this session. So. Yeah, we're just going to sit patient here on but if it starts to recover, then we can definitely get involved again. There is no doubt about that. But guys, our SPY trade is looking a little tough here. 30 cents until I think we get stopped out. So yeah, again, I thought we were in trouble here on this one just from a position and timing standpoint, but that is okay. We're not going to cry over any spilled milk. So yeah, guys, continue to let me know what you are looking at in the chat. I'm just looking at some of the top volume stocks here. Oh, MSTR is what I was going to look at as well too, because I know Sharif just put that up on the poll. So make sure you guys get your votes in on the rundown poll. Only 194 votes, and we're halfway through the hour. So let's get those votes up, guys. Let's see what you guys want to talk about. And sure enough, Neil and Katina Man will be going over them. But sitting at $315. Here are 314 almost flat on MSTR and Michael Saylor and company. Trading below some of these key support levels here, which is totally fine. Let's see how this daily candle prints. Maybe we head a little bit lower. This thing was on such a monster run, and you can definitely call this a hefty squeeze up here. Then we have this massive engulfing candle here with that volume signature, just engulfing these past sessions and then selling off slowly and steadily. So again, let's see if it will recover. I'm sure it will at some point. But to get up to this 554 level, it's going to be hefty. I think that's going to take some time, especially after the run it went on. So for that to recover, only time will be able to fix that. And I think it will, but it may not happen as soon as some of us anticipate it to, all right? So Bitcoin's still just climbing higher, slowly grinding, slowly starting to pull over here. Meta's starting to sell as well too here, folks. So that can bring some weakness into the market. Let me just check here our stat on when we're going to get stopped out of this trade, which is 590.26. And yeah, we got stopped out of the Playmaker pool. That's totally fine. Yeah, it's all right. 590.26. We got stopped out. So just coming after our second, I think our second 2-to-1 profit hit, we just hit our second full stop loss, which is funny. Going back on our data, and this is why collecting data is really cool in my opinion, is that, like, look, so when we hit our 2-to-1 profit target here, Sharif, the next day we got a full stop out. And it's the exact same scenario here. So on Friday was our last final day. We hit that 2-to-1 profit target, and then sure enough today we're gonna have to dock an L on that one. But that's all right. That's all right. We're still yeah, exactly. But that's why we keep it at a 2-to-1, right? So just so that when we are right, we're double right than when we are wrong.
Hey.
Right? Double right.
That's the whole point of the 2-to-1 R to R,
That's the whole point of the 2-to-1 R to R, right? Is so that gives us that ability. And guys, let me know in the chat. Ever since we started doing this, is anybody else tracking their data or has been tracking their data in the same way? And I'm curious, if you have been, how has that reflected your trading? All right. So again, if you've been collecting data kind of how we have been in the Playmaker pool, just let me know. Just shoot me a message here, DM me on X or whatever, because I'm curious to see, like, okay, has it affected your trading in a positive or negative way? Because collecting data in this sense, essentially it can't hurt you. It can just give you more of a general idea of when you know you're going to be right or not, I shouldn't say right, but just how to operate your system in more of a more orderly manner. So yeah. just curious to see what everybody's up to on that front. So.
Sir. Okay, Big Bear AI, we added at 82s exactly like I wanted to, took out some at 90, and now the end of the trade is going to be at around $5. So the only reason I added at 480 on Big Bear AI is because it was an obvious area of initial resistance. At 480, we dipped down to 465 where I bought the majority of my position. We scalp all the way up into 495, and now it comes back in and tests that same area. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be parabolic off this level, nor do I even know if it's going to bounce off this level. So I placed my stop now below 480. So if I'm going to be in this trade, it's going to have to hold up at 480. We'll see exactly what we get there. Now, I'm in a new trade now, SMX, and there it goes through 78s. This one, look, let's see if it can go through 80. It had a lot of trouble at 80 before, 77.5. I'm waiting at 82. SMX, it's up 120%. We'll have to see if this one can get some continuity or it's going to continue to put lower highs like it's doing. And it's also putting in lower lows as well. So anything below 70, and I'm gone there. They're lacking continuity today with these small cap gappers. They're popping off. You're getting big algo moves initially, but when you come to actually trade them off key levels, you're not getting that continuity. And that is something to be aware of because that's part of the cyclicality of these small cap gappers, okay? They're around for a good time, not a long time. And then there's also, a characteristic to them. When they have good continuity, when you're constantly getting new money flowing in to these small cap gappers, you can see that reflected on the price chart because they don't just break through VWAP and then retrace right below. But that's kind of what you're seeing here. You're not seeing that continuity with these ones, and that has to be something that you take into account because when you sit down and trade these, you have to have a certain plan, right? Am I looking to range trade them? Am I looking to scalp, or am I looking for these outsized momentum moves? So that's what I'm kind of noticing with today. Whether it continues on for the rest of the week or not, we'll have to wait and see. BBAI coming back down to that 480 area. Again, anything below 480s, we're done with this trade. Now, let's keep an eye out on that, but also keep an eye on Holo. Holo's doing okay. What else do we have on here? We have HOL, NXU. NXU is a bit of a problem, okay? Where's NXU at, Joseph? There it is.
There it is.
NXU is a bit of a problem. Now, we've entered at $1.54. We're seeing 64s now. It's a bit of a compression pattern. It's got higher lows, but it's also got aggressively lower highs. So I've placed my stop a little bit below my entry. That $1.45 is where we troughed out last time. If we get any prints below that $1.45, I want no smoke. My only concern is, though, the bottom this is one of those ones where the bottom can absolutely fall off. A big seller can take out like 30 different price levels all in one go. And if you have a stop, it won't trigger. It'll just get blown through. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. We dipped down into 60s. We've been dipping down into that $1.60 for a hot minute, really starting at around 108. And we've been incrementally putting in lower highs with that 160 level acting as support. Who knows how long that lasts for? I personally, if I had to guess, and that's all that it is, I think we flat bottom break here rather than maybe curling back up and taking out my level at 85s. But the stop's in play. The profit takers are in play. Let's see what happens. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. Yannick letting me know that AERT is making another move. We were talking about this one a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's holding up too, or so it seems. Yannick, not a bad look. It zigged and zagged a little bit below VWAP, a little bit above. It's got lower highs and a flat bottom at $1.90. I'm going to pack my patience with this one. I don't need to jump in to yet another small cap gapper. So I'm going to let that one cook and see if it really starts running, then we'll get involved with that one. So currently in SMX as well as NXU. And NXU making me look bad, making me look stupid because I finished talking crap about it and it just popped off. So we'll wet our beak there at 75s and we'll de-risk a little bit, Joseph, because it's a bit of a bigger position for me on this one. Actually, that's incorrect. Now we only have one more out, so we got to take out this profit taker. So I'm going to let this one run. If it wants to take out two, fine, but I'm not taking it out at 85s anymore because that'll be the end of the trade, and that's not what I'm looking for there. So what else we got over here? All right, draining the bears account, says Joshua Lee Mallory. Yeah, I guess maybe on the overall market. Let's have a look at the mag. I haven't been looking at the mag here. Oh, interesting. Okay, we could have a bit of a retracement here, boys and girls. We just dipped into 21.5 and got bought aggressively twice. I'm talking about this candle here at 12.55, and I'm talking about this candle here at 125, both of which came in at 21,500, both of which were met with buying. However, we haven't really been blowing through this consolidation area top, which in my humble submission is between 21,500 and 2/3 to 500 and 3/4. Let's see if we can take out those levels. Currently, we've got a nice move up here. We're at that 50-point level. We might be breaking through it. We'll see. So the future trying to catch a bit of a bid here at 21.5, trying to make new highs, and you're seeing it on some of the mag. Like Apple dips into 252.5. Boom, gets bought up into 253 and a quarter. You're seeing it as well, Joseph, on Amazon. It came down into 221 and change, right back up, knocking on the door of 222 again. So the mag could be catching a bit of a bid. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case or not, or whether this is a dead cat bounce and just a bull trap, which could be absolutely possible on the day. We're down 2/3% on both the EQ and the ES, but that's well off the lows. I think we had bled down 1.5% currently at the worst, right? We were down 1.5% or so on the future. More, the Katina man said, yeah, we were down more than that at the lows. So a nice recovery, and you have the thank you, Joe. The ES, the NQ, and the Dow. They're all around 2/3% negative. The Russell faring the best, guys, only down 1/3%. So we'll see if these small cap crappers want to catch a bit of a move high here. And I say that jokingly, obviously. I don't mean to offend anybody who trades them. I trade them. So, yeah, you guys should know that that's just a bit of a joke. Pretty Panda, watching 3 charts at the moment. OP, TT, extremely interesting at the current level. BMR also woke up midday, as well as LDTC, looking like it could go at any point, waiting for that volume. Of course, Pretty Panda, you please me with that last little statement there, and I'm sure you please Joseph as well by saying you're waiting for that volume to kick in, because that's one of the indicators, if not like the indicator.
It is the indicator. But I like how you mentioned that, Sharif, because I never looked at it from that perspective. Is this a potential bull trap of a day? And that's a great question. And as I tend to say, guys, only time will tell. But there's something that I really want to point out here with the question that I previously asked everybody. It was like, hey, are you documenting your trades? Are you collecting data kind of like we are on the Playmaker poll? And I don't want to single you out, but Random Video said negative. Hate to see all my losses. Okay, so I just want to build on this a little bit, okay? So the whole reason of collecting data like this, so imagine we did the Playmaker poll and every day we were wrong. What does that tell us? Don't trade SPY from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, right? That is exactly why you collect data, all right? So Random Videos is like, no, you hate to see all your losses, but what if you had the data that said, hey, don't trade at X time? Now that's going to mitigate your losses, and you're going to be able to hone in on where you're more profitable. We got an ad read here with my guy Sharif. We'll touch on this a little bit more.
We want to tell them about eSignal, Joseph, which is the platform that allows you to trade smarter, not harder. If you're into that kind of thing, upgrade, I should say, to that elite trading experience that'll help you analyze, it'll help you strategize, and then hopefully after all that, you'll capitalize by foreseeing those profitable opportunities with the platform that you need. You get a bunch of stuff. You get infinite data. You get instant trading. You get to know where the market is moving before others with that lightning fast data and execution. And we always hear compliments about their charts. Some would even say, Joseph, that they've got charts that change the game because you can customize and analyze markets faster and in your specific way. And we all know a sound trading plan requires good backtesting. That's what you get here. You get better backtesting. You get better scanning. You can predict the future by understanding the past. It's reliable, real-time data up to the second market information from hundreds of global market sources. It's everything you need all in one place. So for goodness sake, don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now, if and only if you're ready to elevate your trading. Scan that QR code on the bottom right of your screen, or go on into the description of this video and click the link. Shout out to the good folks there.
Hey, yeah, good.
What's it called?
eSignal. All right, but eSignal. Okay, but guys, yeah, I just want to touch on this one more time, all right? The reason why I'm kind of passionate about this, because it took me years in order to discover this. I had to do this. And before I was documenting it online or on Notion or something, I was writing it down. And then every day I would go through my notes and to see where I was the most profitable. And that's where I established my system. From time A to time B, I'm a better trader. From time B to time C, I'm no good. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to trade in the time frames from B to C. And that's why you document this type of stuff, all right? So if anybody is like, okay, well, I don't want to see my losses. Someone in the chat says, well, you're in the wrong business. Exactly. You want to see these losses so you can eliminate them. You can somewhat eliminate those amount of losses. And as I mentioned previously before, if you're not profitable from 1 to 2, if we were wrong on every single trade here through 15 trades, then there's no point in us taking a trade from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. All right, it's zero. We got to come up with a new system because it doesn't work. So that's why you document this type of data in order to find where you are the most profitable within trading. All right, so that's just something that I wanted to touch on and something I'm slightly passionate about because it took me a long time. Dude, when I first started here, I was walking around with my backpack with all my data collected in a binder. Yeah, and I would show, but then the boys got me on Notion, so now I just document it on Notion. But I know from what time, from the 2-3 years that I've been, 3+ years I've been trading, is that I'm not profitable from X point to B point, you know what I mean? But I'm best at trading from A to B, and I'm not good from B to C, right? So again, to each their own totally, but if it helps me, there's at some aspect, I know it helps the boys in the back, I know it helps a lot of traders, there's no doubt that it can help you. So if you want to do it or not, that it's totally fine. I get that, but if you also really want to hone in and eliminate those time frames where you're not good, then by all means.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do or anything, but this is a really interesting comment here from Dear Oil. Look what he says. I actually take these, I think he meant this data, and add them to my chat GPT script, which I use daily to tailor my strategy. It's very helpful, especially AI has zero emotions. It sticks to facts, figures, and trends. That's not something that I've tried. And I think that's really interesting because we often hear about, back testing. Well, you can, I don't know, I haven't tried this. I'm just theoretically talking out loud. I wonder if we could take the data, back test it in ChatGPT by throwing it its way, like, hey, what do you notice? Are there any patterns that I'm not noticing here? And I think that the AI is probably a lot better at discerning that than us.
Absolutely.
So that's really interesting. Shout out to Dear Oil there. Maybe that's something that I need to probably weasel into.
There's a tool that Wayner and Brankel's sub to, and that's what you can do. You can like back test something for like an extended period of time, and it can tell you the accuracy within that
Interesting.
system.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's all that stuff, man. I mean, hey. Again, you don't have to, you don't want to, but it depends how seriously you kind of want to take the
absolutely, man. So. All right, so Holo's breaking into $5 here, and where are we long? We're long 430. I'm not taking anything out. If it takes out 5 1/4, we'll take it out because that's a pre-market high, and that's my kind of way of trying to make up for my mistake by being into this trade before 5 1/4. So here, knock on the door, $5. If I have to get stopped out 4 1/4, I will. Okay, so we're going to keep an eye out on this one. Now, the trouble is not coming from BBAI. In fact, BBAI, we did quite well on this one. Again, adding here at that 480, and look at it, moving right back up into 495. I literally got bottom wick, and I'm not special. I just know that this is basically an obvious area of resistance, and I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat saw it as well. If I'm seeing it, then you guys were seeing it. All right, so let's see if we can take out that $5 area. I've got my beak wetter right at that 5. I see Holo starting to squeeze again over here. What is it doing? Okay, here we go. It just breached 5. It got into 503. So this is a really interesting area here on HOLO. Let's see if we can squeeze and really get a parabolic kind of effect. Just to remind you guys, Holo's short float is as follows. We're at $5 as we speak right now. It's 13.5%. Now, I'm not exactly sure where the shorts are all sitting. You gotta assume some of the shorts were already squeezed this morning through 5 1/4. We're above 5 now, but we're having a lot of trouble taking 5 decisively. Topping tails now on the 1, several through 5. It doesn't mean it's not conclusive, with these topping tails, as I've mentioned many times, with these small cap gappers, as it may be with some of the larger caps. When you see a topping tail, put some respect on that topping tail's name. It's not the same thing with these small cap gappers. Here we go, 507 now HOD. Let's see if we can continue moving up. I'm gonna sit at 5 1/4. because that's where I want to take it out. So we're going to go ahead and sit 525 over here for the sell, and we'll see what we get, and we won't get upset. Now, there is a problem brewing here on NXU, and I think I'm going to get out of dodge here. So I did wet my beak on some profits at $1.75, but that is yet another lower high on NXU. So it's been lower high, lower high, lower high, and a lower high with that $1.60 still hanging out. I'm long $1.54. I don't want any more of this smoke because I know what could happen. The bottom will come off. I've seen it before, and the only thing really holding me back is if I take it out here and it pops through $2, I'm smashing all these computers. No, I'm kidding, of course. I don't have anything here worth smashing over. But the point is, I hate being put in this position where, it's showing you something, but you've seen something else in the past, and that kind of sits in your mind rent free. That's why you don't take it out. What I'm talking about is here, taking it out the $1.60 only to have it curl and then take out highs. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now with NXU. It's up 564%. Some respect on this one's name, please. We'll see what we get there. Let's have a look as well at SMX. This one is really breaking down over here. So it's coming into the volume weighted average price. If it doesn't hold 66 pennies, that's the end of the trade there. BBAI, I'm going to let that cook. I've already got my stop below that 480. What else we have on? We have Holo, NXU, SMX. So we've talked about all of them already. So nothing much to talk about there. I should let you know, though, the one that we were trading earlier, AISP, really going here, 680 HOD right now. It's really making a move up. The best retracement you could have got was that 20 exponential. But Holo is going. Let's see, did it take out my level? Here we go with HOLO, 5.25 coming in. So pleased that I waited for this because I would have been kind of upset that I didn't take it out there. So we'll flatten out over here. Good trade on HOLO as it takes out that 5.25 HOD. Holo up now 117%. What a fantastic day for that name. Let's see what else people are talking about there in the chat. Let's see over here. Any insight over here? Yeah, John Womack saying HOLO. We just finished that trade, so we'll keep an eye out for some more. What else we got? Yeah, Jacob Nichols talking about Holo breaking through 5. Manic R, Sharif, Watt is trending. Any indication? I actually took that off my side chart because I traded it poorly today. And it was breaking down, quite frankly, below the volume weighted average price. But let's have a look at WATT. So yeah, it's still below VWAP, Manic. So I got a couple of rules with these ones. They have to be above the pre-market high, and they also have to be above VWAP. This one is neither. So the pre-market high is this over here at $1.74. We're trading $1.36, and VWAP is at $1.47. We're trading $1.38 now. So it's, I'm not going to trade it. I tried to trade it off VWAP and it broke down. So that's why I kind of left it there and kind of went on to do other things. So NXU, true to form, what I say, here it is. Right back down to that $1.50, flat bottom breaks through $1.60. We're long $1.54, so let's see if it wants to break down through that $1.45. Yeah, that's one of those ones where, the lower highs here were operative. That's why I should have flattened out at 166. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Let's see if it breaches 145. It is on the way down, though. VWAP for NXU currently at $1.13, lucky number 13. So if you're looking for a dip trade on NXU, my humble submission to you guys, wait for VWAP at $1.14, $1.13, or wherever it is by the time it makes it down there. AISP continues to move to the high side. Where is my AISP chart? Did I take it off? No, there it is. It continues to take out highs, 688. Now, this thing looks like it's going for 7. Very steady mover. It wasn't aggressive like some of the other ones. AISP is the one I'm talking about. It's only up 22.33%. But it was a predictable one that you could have gotten good retracements, whether it was a 10 or the 20 exponential moving average, and it continuously, put in higher highs and higher lows. So good luck there. Bill in Wood, WKSP following the rules. Let's have a look. WKSP, not Worksport? Worksport? No way. Worksport's one of our sponsors. Okay, Worksport. doing its nice little dance there. It is, but it's just not doing that much volume, quite frankly, Bilan. 2.5 million shares on a dollar name, to me, not that great. Obviously, could be a good company, but not necessarily good for trading. A little lacking liquidity, obviously, given that it's only $1, it should be doing well over 10 million shares by now. So that's my look, Joseph. What do you got?
Nothing. It's funny. I want to mention you because I was calling this person this for a long time, and then they mentioned in the chat, it's Dear Ollie, not Dear Oil. We call him Dear Oil, but it's Dear Ollie. So I was doing it for a long time.
So did I.
It's all right. He said his wish is for us to call him Ollie in 2025. So
My bad.
Yeah. Well, that's where I got it. So I don't know why we call it Dear Oil, but I mean,
Ram has always got to prove that she's so much better than us. Yeah. She's like, I told you that so many times.
Yeah, I told you guys about FFIE like 9 years ago.
All right, Ram. We're subservient.
You know
All
it.
hail Ram.
She says she doesn't think it. She knows
She's
it.
giving me a gesture right now?
Yeah, no, it's all love. But Sharif, I wanted to touch on something real quick that Jay Lee said in the chat, and I'm looking for what he said. Yeah, so Jay Lee says, so he writes code AI can never understand. It just deals with O's and ones, making up complex illusions of understanding. But it can never understand true meaning. All right, that's extremely deep, and I like it. And it kind of leads to the context and what I was saying to you earlier about how someone kind of compared AI to a child who has never left the library but has read every book in the library, right?
So true.
Right? So that's pretty. But what happens when this thing starts to get sensory from a sensory aspect, where it can go outside? You have these humanoid robots, and then you have these movies. So what happens when we step outside of the library? Because I think with this AI phase, we're not even at a pager stage, right? Like from a pager standpoint, if we're going to kind of compare it to something, we're not even at a pager stage, right? All we can do is just type something into a computer, and then we get a response or whatever it would be. What happens when we step outside of this, and then we start to lead towards the car phone, right? And then we start to lead towards the pager, and then now we got the flip phones, and then we lead to the iPhone 3, and then now we're to the point where we are. At what stage do you think that this can replicate it from like a humanoid standpoint? If that makes sense?
If you listen, like I'm going on what I've just learned in the past couple of years. Altman thinks that will likely get to artificial general intelligence by this year. He hasn't said it so explicitly, but he's implied that. Now, AGI is not the gold standard. So artificial general intelligence, just to back up for a second, there is a standardized test that they put together for AGI to say, okay, computers have reached AGI. Most humans score about 85% on that. So it's funny how like most humans don't score 100. So most humans score about 85% on that AGI test. The latest, I think 03, or it was either 01 or 03, the model, ChatGPT model, scored 87. So if you want to say we already got AGI, technically you might have a case, but that's not the move, Joseph. It's artificial super intelligence.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. That's going to be the game changer, and I think that's when we should probably start worrying about our jobs. He explained it like this. Artificial super intelligence will be like you explaining trading or calculus to an ant. And the artificial super intelligence is going to come up with these insane concepts and understand so much that it will be beyond our scope of comprehension. Or at least not yet.
We can never understand.
So that super intelligence thing is kind of the one that's scary, and it could like run rampant, stuff like that. And the guardrails on that would be super hard.
So when does he think we can get to that artificial super intelligence?
He didn't say.
So would you compare it, and I know it's such a more complex thing, but as these models get smarter and smarter, is this going to give us the ability to increase to that stage, to get to those stages faster?
That's a great question, bro. Right? That's a great question.
Because we're getting smarter, so you should be able to get to those next stages fast.
Here's the thing, though. Can I say something to you? This kind of digresses, but it builds on the same point. So remember how Google was talking about their, what's it called? What's that? Willow, that chip. By the way, for them to know that Willow solved that math problem that would have taken like a quintillion years, they can't even verify that they solved it because they need that many years currently with current computing to be able to verify that it solved it.
Makes
so
sense.
it becomes like kind of like circular logic or like a black hole that you go down. If you get that insane chip, how can you know the chip is not making mistakes based on current technology? You're going to have to use that same technology to check it.
Because you have you can't
It's
check
insane.
it yourself.
It gets like, it starts bending your mind a little bit.
I see where you're getting at. But again, just to the point that I'm getting at is that we're so early in these stages. And Jay Lee, you're not wrong. I really like the way that you put that. But I also like the way that I heard of it, again, and I'll repeat it one more time, is that we're at the stage where this kid is stuck in the library. He's read every book, and he has yet to step outside of that library. So once we get to those phases, who knows where this can go. We're already on the doorsteps of humanoid robots with Optimus, and I know Kai Cenat has one that's on wheels. Did you see that one that he's on? Like, yeah, it's weird, right? So what happens as we just continue to progress in these stages? And again, I think it's only a matter of time. In our lifetime, we'll see kind of those assistants where we have someone, a robot who can do our laundry or
That'd
something.
be fantastic.
May as well, I think we'll be significantly older, but just from like whatever the industrial revolution they're calling this here, I think that we get to those stages eventually.
Yep. Let's see what the chat's saying.
Yeah, I mean, the chat is going off here. Yeah, they're going off here.
Let's see some of the comments over here. All right, blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm all in on Nvidia and Tesla, says Vancouver Island guy. What else? I don't really like how AI tells you what you want to hear. Westall, you're not wrong, dude. Yeah, it is very convenient. And like, hey, yeah, you're right in this case, but think about this. Yeah, I've gotten that kind of vibes from it as well. You're absolutely right. I agree with you on that. What else we got over here? This is bad and people think it's all good, says Khoury. Yeah, maybe, brother. We'll have to wait and see. Shout out to Jay Lee. You talked about this one, right? AI might start acting smart once quantum is everywhere. Even then, technically, won't truly understand it, but it will be better than humans due to data reference. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Jay. I don't think we can quite verify its accuracy based on with current technology right now. Let's keep seeing what people are saying. Mitchell Rosa, Anthropic's AI already tried to escape in research. Bro, don't get me down that hole. I've got a great source for you guys to follow for AI. I don't have any affiliation with him. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for the dude. He's on my favorite social media platform, TikTok. And his name is Nate. And I'm going to give you, it's as easy as it could be. Let me just see what his username is. The dude, and he takes time to explain AI in a non-pretentious way. So let me find out what his actual name is there. Nate. Where are you at, Nate? Damn it, Nate. Nate the Great, says Neil. Following. Let me just have a look through my following. There we go. Nate. There. Oh yeah. So his name is super simple. I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to Ram. It's Nate.B.Jones on TikTok, and he just has videos of him talking. But he gives you like the full deal of what's going on currently. Any new model drops. It's this handsome gentleman over here. If we can show it. Nate, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to show you. He's got a beard and he's balding. Okay.
It looks like Michael Noss a little bit there, no?
Neil said he's got a beard. I trust him already. I know, right? That's how I felt about myself till I had a beard. Then I just stopped trusting myself.
Did you used to have a beard?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah?
You haven't seen, look, it's in the picture right there.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, then.
I'm gonna throw his name in the chat in a second. But yeah, great source. If you're on TikTok, no, Ram. I'm sending it to you, Ram. I'm sending it to you right now because he's honestly a fantastic source, and he does about like 3 or 4 minute videos. So he's not like giving you a lecture, but it's also a lot longer than your little, quick spiels right here and there. So shout out to Nate again, not affiliated with him in any way, but if you're into that AI thing, it behooves you to, listen to somebody who's in the industry currently. All right, so we're in 3 trades right now. We're kind of in no man's land on all of them. SMX continuing to hold up here. It's at the volume weighted average price, and in fact, it's putting bottoming tail candles into VWAP. So to me, it looks like it possibly could curl up off here. We'll have to wait and see. We're also into NXU. It's still holding that. Where's my NXU? There we go. Still holding that 50 penny area, so I'm packing my patience there. We'll see if this one wants to move back up. And then BBAI, I'm still holding that. Despite the fact that I added at that, 82s, we didn't get that break of 5. So I'm still waiting south of 5 at around right there. So we'll see what we get with that one right now. What else we got? Trust me, bro, says Eddie R. Looks like Sean in 10 years. Bears versus Bill. Who looks like Sean in 10 years? Brother, what are you saying right now? Do you not see my head? All right, what else we got over here? Let's see what we got over here. Nate Haggins or Nate B says, Ram, I sent it to you. There he is. What a handsome gentleman right there. Nate B. Jones. So this is the guy. I don't know if he has any other social media, but guys, if you want the constant real deal with AI, he's unpretentious. He's quite intellectual. And, everybody needs a source. I'm definitely not intelligent enough to be able to kind of discern this stuff on my own, so I looked to some of the other more intelligent people. Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I was just looking at Neil. I see Neil say something about Baba here, and yeah, I'm getting a little intrigued myself here, my friend, because that volume started to step in, and when you see those types of things, then that will get my interest rolling. Hey. So let's zoom in here on the 5-minute. I know we don't got much time here, but sure enough, you've seen that volume step in there. So maybe we're curious to see what's going on with Baba. But I mean, as for the Chinese ADRs, let's talk about skipping out on the Santa rally here with these ones. And then that has been the case. So it's been served nothing but coal for Christmas. It seems like these Chinese ADRs. So taking a beating. And then this is what you see, right? So it goes like this: stimulus doesn't like the stimulus enough. Oh, more stimulus. Oh, still not enough stimulus, and headed back to the south side. But it is 2 o'clock.
What?
Time flies.
Bro,
when you're
how is that
time
even?
Time flies when you're having
Usually,
fun.
I feel the 2 o'clock coming on,
around,
but we're talking about Nate. We're analyzing his beard. We're in these small cap cappers. All right, guys. Holo is breaking out. It's really going 5 2/3. We're gonna send you the big kahunas right now. They're gonna be trading all sorts of big caps and others. So Joseph and I will see you same bat time, same bet
Options
channel.
Greek tomorrow.
Bang. There you go. Take it over, gents.
I didn't catch what. Welcome, everybody. I didn't catch the last thing. What was the last thing George just said? I missed it. I missed that.
Options week.
Options week.
Oh, Greek.
Oh, okay. Then.
Greek, tzatziki and stuff like that.
Yeah, apparently it's 2 o'clock. Like, the second 2 o'clock hits, they have to come right over. You're allowed to finish your thoughts. Anything you might be talking about. I mean, we don't always timely our